Basebo ne banyabo mwebale nnyo mwebalire ddala nga bwe tulinda bakandidates baffe okubanga batuuka. Njagala okwongera okubategeeza nti debate eno buli avuganya ku ntebe y'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga nga Nation Media Group abatesitesi aba debate eno twamutuukirira era ne baddamu okusaba kwaffe nga bwe baakuddamu. Abo bagenda okulabika olwaleero beebo abakkiriza okubaawo ku debate eno. Abalala ku ssaawa ensembayo balabise nga bakwataganye mu ngeri emu oba endala, naye tujja kgenda n'abo abasobodde okuba nga batwegattako. Ekisinga obukulu kya birowoozo by'abana bagenda okutukulembera. Nyaffe Uganda eno Katonda bwe yali agituwa yagituweesa ddembe, era n'abatukulembera abalongoofu ne batufunira omulamwa ogwa ku lwa Katonda n'ensi yange, for God and my country.
That's right.
Era ensonga lwaki tuli wano nga tutandise debate eno n'essaala okuva ewaseeka, tuli mu bufu obwo obw'okusabira eggwanga n'okusabira enteekateeka eno gye tulimu. Tumaze ebbanga lya myaka 5 nga twetegekera okufuna obukulembeze obugenda okutwala Uganda mu maaso emyaka emirala 5. Uganda eno tuli okugiyita Nyaffe Uganda, nga bwe Nyaffe Uganda yazaala era neekuza n'okulera n'erera. Mu bo be yaleera ne mufaamu abaana 8 abavuddeyo okulaba nga bayingira enteekateeka eno y'okukulembera bannaabwe. Kakasiza ddala nti buli omu Nyaffe Uganda oyo yamukuba akaama, era akaama ke yakuba presidential candidate oyo ke tugenda okuwulira olwaleero.
That's nice. So we have 8 presidential candidates. 5 will be able to make their presence seen and their voices heard tonight. Unfortunately, we won't be listening from Robert Presidentail. He's the National Peasants Party presidential flag bearer that is in the upcoming 2026 elections. And also, unfortunately, Mubarak Mnyagwa, also who wants to be known as Mugatigwa Bata, also won't be making it tonight. And he's a prominent Ugandan politician and also a former member of parliament. He believes we should all eat from the same. That's very important. Yeah, but on the broader perspective of everything, I think this is going to be a very wonderful debate. The people that have showed up show that they actually want to lead Ugandans. Otherwise, if that was not the case, then all of them should have been here. But nonetheless, like my colleague Anwalu Katamba said, we'll definitely be moving forward with the presidential candidates that have confirmed their presence.
Presidential race eno ey'omulundi guno buli muntu alina engombo kwali mu kutambulira, ne buli omu bw'ajoogera owulirira ddala nga ebirowoozo bikulu. Waliwo abagamba nti okukuuma ebyo ebituukiddwako, ne wabeerawo n'abasuubiza okuleeta enkyukakyuka. Abalala bagamba kuleeta Uganda mpya. Kakati katulindirire abantu kye banaasalawo.
Yeah, it's up to the electorate. The people who are out there, they're the ones who have to make their voice heard and basically exercise their constitutional right of going out there to vote their leader of the country. Go ahead, go for it. I will decide come 15th January 2026. That's when I'm going to be making my decision. But I would implore all Ugandans, of course, to turn up and make their voice heard. This is a constitutional right. No one is doing you a favor. You're there to vote for Uganda, to make your home a better place.
Ngabotweteekateeka njagala Priscilla otuyisizeemu ku ebyo bye tuba tusuubira ebigenda okuva mu katuuti ako we mutudde.
All right, thank you so much, Anwal Katamba. As we do have the 5 candidates, we will be receiving them in a short while. When they take the stage, they will be speaking to you, the Ugandan. They will be telling you the one particular problem they have found that cuts across the east of Uganda, the west of Uganda, north of Uganda, south of Uganda, and central of Uganda, a problem that unites all of us 45.9 million Ugandans. And what is their solution? Should you trust them with your vote and give them the mandate to lead you as their leader and president come 2026? That is what we want to scrutinize this evening.
Doctor.
Yes, sir.
Sebo now to where you.
Wow. As my brother Kawesa always says. But what we're looking forward to is a very candid conversation, honesty, and promises easy to make, and you fail short. Not speak of someone who was once a novelist and wrote very candidly about some things, but he failed to deliver. We want to see what our 5 people here have to promise Ugandans and whether or not they can deliver on those promises.
Allow me to interrogate the doctor here. What would be the definition of a promise? Because we have seen different people, different communities saying that promises were made and failed.
Well, usually when someone has no quick retort, they say that that's relative. And what I could say is that could also be very relative if you've been around long enough and you fail to deliver time and again. That also hits very hard.
And as people are watching this presidential debate, what should they use as their measure for a promise to be kept?
Well, the answer to that is quite simple. If you go through manifestos over time and you do see a regurgitation of something being said over and over and over again, then you have your answer already. So some of the candidates here that we're going to see have put out manifestos in the past. Some parties have been around for some election cycles, and it is time for us to interrogate, are you copying and pasting the same message that you had 5 years ago and putting it forth to us this time around?
All right. We do have our social media platforms that are equally running with engagement and poll questions. Please feel free to actually reach out with your voice. Your voice matters in this presidential debate because you are the Ugandan that they are talking to tonight. The hashtag is NTV Presidential Debate 2025 across all our social media platforms, NTV Uganda and Spark TV. Please also be reminded that we are streaming live on our website, www.ntv.co.ug.
Kale toyanza nnyo toyanzege mbeera bwetyo bwegenda okuba era mukadde kano ndowooza ba presidential candidates baffe bonna bonna betugenda okubeera nabo baweddeyo bamaze okutuuka. Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu naye amaze okutuuka. Kale kakati akadde konna tugenda kubanga tuyingira mu debate yaffe naye nga tetunaba kuyingira mu debate eyo. Doctor, mu advert ebadde etambulanga eraga debate eno tegenda kubeerayo. Waliwo ekigambo kye wakozesa, not slogans. Sebo wali otegeeza ki? But it's just ideas. Sebo tumenyere, not slogans, but ideas. Sebo wali otegeeza ki?
Sikiriza njogera Oluganda. Waliwo abantu bangi abalowooza simanyi Luganda. Naye ndi musajja Muganda wawu. Wewetegereza okulonda okwensi gye bayita United States of America, we bafuna obwetuze independence in 1776. That was a while back from the British. Something interesting happened. Fast forward to the Ronald Reagan time, and something that was fascinating was Ronald Reagan came up with a slogan for his campaign. And when he came up with this slogan, it was Make America Great. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Because someone used the same slogan in 2016, just added one more word, which is Make America Great Again.
Okay.
So if we are to go with sloganeering, then that is exactly what some people will do. They'll get away with murder just because you don't have a long enough memory to remember that there's a man who was once an actor, turned governor of California, turned presidential candidate, and won the election.
Okay. Oh, the same Arnold.
Kale.
Ah, okay.
Mukadde kano twanirize avuganya kuba president Frank Bulira Kabinga amaze okutuuka. Frank Bulira Kabinga onono yakwatidde ekibiina ki Revolutionary People's Party RPP. Mukulu yoyo atuuka agende Butelevu Betty Mudondo mutwale Butelevu wali waggulu ku Baganda ke tuyita akatuuti ab'Olungereza oba ke muyita podium. Omukulu oyo atuuka ebyobufuzi teyakabiyingira yabitandika ebbanga ddene emabega era nga yaliko mu kibiina eky'abaana DP abaali abavubuka KYD ate gye yava ne yeegatta ku Dr. Agre Kiyingi mu Uganda Young Democrats gye yava n'alyoka yeegatta ku kibiina kino ekya RPP mwaze okuvuganyiza ku ntebe ey'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga. Tukube engalo ezimwaniriza.
So Frank Bulira Kabinga is a Ugandan politician and also the presidential candidate for the Revolutionary People's Party in the 2026 general elections. Up next, the other contender that will be joining us tonight is Honorable Nandala Mafabi. He is currently the opposition figure leading the Front for Democratic Change and is their flag bearer for the 2026 general elections. Please welcome Nathan Nandala Mafabi.
Aba FDC we bali muri badembe okwaniriza omukulu ng'atuuka era nga Nathan Nandala Mafabi naye ebyobufuzi teyakabitandika yabitandikira ddala mwaka ogwa 2001 gy'abadde nga omubaka wa Parliament okutuukira ddala olwaleero ng'avuganya ku ntebe y'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga. Mukulu yakolako mu URA era akoze emirimu mingi nnyo okutuuka watuuse awo. Ssebo tukwaniriza era tulindiridde okuwuliriza ebirowoozo by'ogenda okutuwamu. Omutwale Butelevu ku katuuti Dokita n'amusoyezaawo ebibuuzo.
And just to highlight his education, his A-level education, he attended Busoga College, Miri, Jinja. He also graduated from Makerere University in 1988 with a Bachelor of Statistics and Economics. He also followed that with a postgraduate diploma in education, and that was in 1989. And also, that was from Makerere. He also obtained a diploma in income tax administration, and that was from the Uganda Management Institute in Kampala. In 1993, he passed the Certified Public Accountant examinations, and that was both in Uganda and Kenya as well. Currently, like we said, he is the presidential flag bearer for the Front for Democratic Change.
Basebone banyabu twanirize General Grigor Mugisha Muntu muna ANT sebo tukwaniriza ku debate ya feno etegekeddwa aba Nation Media Group ekitongole ekitwala NTV, Spark TV, olupapula lw'amawulire olwa Daily Monitor, radio okuli Dembe FM, Sakone KFM. Oyo omukulu oyo yadumirako n'amagye g'eggwanga era y'omu ku bannansi abeetaba Butelevu mu lutalo olw'abanunuzi abaleeta gavumenti ya NRM mu buyinza. Sebo tukwaniriza.
Now, Mugisha Muntu was officially nominated on September 24th, 2025, and is also known for his calm, values-based political approach. And his focus has always been on addressing governance issues. He has also criticized the current government for its failure to convert the country's wealth into prosperity. That is the retired Major General Mugisha Muntu. Thank you for joining us.
Basebone banyabo twanirize Joseph Mabirizi, Elton Joseph Mabirizi naye amaze okutuuka. Era ngono yavuganyako ne mu kalulu ka 2016 obululu akakiiko k'ebyokulonda ke baamuwa bw'anaaba afunye omukisa n'abutubuulira naye ssebo tukwaniriza ku debate eno etegekeddwa aba Nation Media Group era tulindiridde okulaba ebirowoozo byo ekiro ky'olwaleero.
Elton Joseph Mabirizi is the presidential candidate for the Conservative Party. For the Conservative Party, and that is in the upcoming 2026 general elections. Just like my colleague said, this is his second time contesting as president, and I'm very sure he's not new to these things. Still very much around, by the way. I remember his name trending as Mambrizi, and I think it's a cool name. We like presidential candidates that are actually relatable.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which class were you?
2016, I was already at campus. I was already doing my university degree.
I think by out there, they are now.
I'm old enough.
Joseph Elton Mabirizi okubanga naye yayingira atwale ekifo kye
All right, as we wait for Joseph Felton Marizi to come through, the other contender that's going to be joining us tonight is Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu. He's also known as Bobby Wine. He's a politician. He's also the president of the National Unity Platform, a former musician. He's an actor. He's a businessman. And he transitioned to politics and gained prominence as a critic of the president, that is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Ebisira we yabeerera omuyimbi ayitibwanga Ghetto Gladiator era ayitibwanga Ghetto President. Simanyi oba ekifo kye naye tujja kuba nga tumufuna mutegezeddwa nti Mabirizi naye atuuse. So Elton Joseph Mabirizi, presidential candidate owa Conservative Party, sebo tukwaniriza obwedde ensi yakulindiridde dda. That
is Elton Joseph Mabirizi, the presidential candidate for the Conservative Party in the 2026 elections. He's doing it again as he's also joined by the party chairman, John Kendall Chamsi, and a nice combination. Conservative Party is in the house. Officially. The man. All right, Conservative Party is in the house. And now let's move forward to our final candidate of the night. That is Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu. He is the presidential flag bearer for the 2026 general elections on the ticket of the National Unity Platform. Please join us and welcome Honorable Robert Chagulanyi. But his political journey actually started in 2017 to 20. There, so we won't dwell on that. All we know is that he leads the People Power, the Power Movement, and it has been a major opposition force. And he also ran for president in 2021, and he's here to do it again next year.
Kale tulinze Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu tambula n'omulamwa ogw'okugamba nti aleeta Uganda empya ne kkooti y'abantu. Ebyo bye bimu ku bigambo byasinga okutambulirako. Naye abamuleeta oba bamulaze ekkubo kyamu ndaba tavaayo.
Aja is coming.
Tuyinza okwogera ebingi ne twokya. Naye abamuleeta oba bamulaze ekkubo kyamu tuyinza okwogera ebingi ne twokya.
Number 10 your quote. I'm sharing the Presidentail
platform. Kulembeteje Bedun asoma mawulire ga NTV Weekend Edition.
Our final contender will begin right now. Honorable Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu. He's the president of the National Unity Platform. Doing this for the second time.
Abakulu nga bamaze okutuuka kati kano tugenda kuwaayo obudde bwonna bwe tulina okulaba nga tuwa bamoderators baffe akadde batandike session yaffe ey'okubaganya ebirowoozo. Bakutegeezezza nti abamu ku abo bagenda okulemberamu ku lwa NTV presidential candidates bano njagala tumubanjulire basobole okubategeera obulungi. Abagenda okulembera ku debate eno ku lwa NTV tulinako Priscilla Regina Nalwoga, abamu ku mmwe abali awo ku podium yali abakyazizzaako, ye presenter wa program ya Morning at NTV. Programu ebeerawo buli lunaku okuva ku Monday mpaka ku lunaku olwokutaano. Ye Priscilla Regina Nalwoga, omu ku bannamawulire abagondedde obulungi
And seated next to her is Arnold Segawa. He is a doctor, a monetarist, and a central bank scholar as well. He has also been in the newsroom for quite some time, so he's well versed with that field as well. He's going to be our moderator as well for the presidential debate as we gear up for the 2026 general elections.
Presidential candidate kanyibirire wano kusobola okundaba ze Annual Katamba akati katubaweeyo eri bannaffe baneeno abagenda okubakulembera mu debate badde ne prefer.
Over to you, Arnold and the Priscilla.
Good evening, Uganda, and to all watching us across the world. It is 8:34 in Kampala and midday 34 in Washington, D.C. There are very many people who are eager to hear, especially in the diaspora, what all of you have to offer us as presidential candidates, and we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Tonight, live from Kampala, NTV and Spark TV bring you a defining moment in our nation's democratic journey. The NTV Presidential Debate 2025, the race for 2026. I'm Dr. Arnold Segawa, together with Priscilla Regina Nalwaka.
Good evening to you, Uganda, and good evening to you, our candidates. Our candidates, how are you? Pressure. Pressure, pressure. Let's turn on those microphones and just hear your voices so that we know you're the one. I will start with the General. General, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
We are fine.
You are fine.
I trust you are fine.
Ah, that's wonderful to hear. A round of applause for you. Mr. Robert Chagulanyi.
Mic check, 1, 2.
1, 2, check. It's a pleasure to have you. Good evening.
It's a pleasure for me to be here. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, our dear moderators. Good evening, fellow candidates.
All right. We also do have Honorable Nandala Mafabi. Honorable, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Look forward to
It's a pleasure to be in your company. A round of applause for you. We also do have Mr. Joseph Mabilizi. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening to all of us.
How are you? A pressure can go what can
I don't have any pressure.
Yeah. That's wonderful to hear. If they're confident, then Uganda should be confident about the next hours to come. And finally, we also do have candidate Frank Bulira. Good evening to you, sir.
Dear Ugandans, and thank you so much, NTV, for this arrangement.
And thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming through. These are the 5 candidates, 1 state, and of course 1 country that is watching. Tonight is about ideas, tonight is about vision, as well as leadership, unfiltered, uncompromising, as well as decisive.
Gentlemen, if you may, some hygiene issues. When you're done speaking through your microphone, kindly switch it off, otherwise we will have feedback. And moving on, the focus tonight is on issues that are shaping the future of this nation. We have infrastructure, ICT and innovation, finance and national development, not forgetting health.
And as duly introduced, our 5 candidates are ready and they have shown us that they're ready to go. There are 5 voices, however, you and I make up 1 electorate. Every answer tonight is going to be counting and every commitment is going to be measured.
Joining us tonight on stage, we have Frank Bulira. We're going in alphabetical order from your surname. On my extreme right, Mr. Frank Bulira, thank you. Mr. Candidate Joseph Mabilizi, thank you. Candidate Nathan Nandala Mafabi. In the middle, we have candidate Robert Chagulanyi, and last but not least, on my extreme left, candidate Mugisha Muntu.
Well, tonight marks a very defining moment in our national conversation. Ugandans from across the country, ever since we began this live broadcast, have been talking to us, and they have been telling us some of the things they would like their candidates to actually pinpoint about. And of course, this has been building up to this coverage from our correspondents in NTV to northern Uganda to Mbarara to the voices of everyday Uganda. each one of them sharing what they are expecting of you, our candidates, as you get to address them as a nation. Now, a short while ago, we were introduced to the 5 candidates joining us today, and we get to regret that 3 candidates were unable to join us on this stage tonight, with the hope that all 8 will be present at future debates.
Tonight, we will be looking at 5 themes, that is youth unemployment and jobs. 2 is security, governance and justice. 3, technology and the future of work. 4, infrastructure development and the health sector. And 5, finance and economic development.
And as the word presidential debate does say it, each candidate has 4 minutes for your introduction. Each candidate has 4 minutes and 30 seconds allowed to close your submission to every address under everything that we're going to be discussing tonight. And 1 minute will be awarded to you, and maybe 45 seconds to give your closing remarks when the night is done and dusted. There will be a 7-minute commercial break after the second theme, and these themes were all selected based on months and months of public engagement. Thousands of Ugandans having submitted their priorities and questions. This is through the community forums, digital platforms, and of course the regional outreach. However, the final selections, the structure, and the sequencing for tonight were made independently of the debate team. So as per the debate rules, neither the candidate that you see on the podium this evening nor anyone on the team have reviewed or influenced these questions.
Without any further ado, let us begin. And this is going to be very brief. In 4 minutes, tell Ugandans why you're the best candidate and to take this big job of being the president, not just having the fancy office. While you're at it, also tell Ugandans what the biggest problem is with the country. Let me start with you, Mr. Boliro. 4 minutes.
Thank you so much. Dear Ugandans, my name is Bulira Frank Kabinga Salongo. I'm the presidential flag bearer for the Revolutionary People's Party, a party which merged with the Uganda Federal Democratic Organization, which was led by the late Dr. Aggrey Kiyingi. I'm here in the footsteps of the late fighter Dr. Aggrey Kiyingi, in the footsteps of our forefathers who fought for federalism, the Nkwangas, the Andrew Takome Kairas, the Dr. Paul Kawanga Semogereres, the retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye's. I'm in this race not just to contest ceremoniously. I'm here to contest and deliver our opposition to State House. It has been a process of over 4 decades, and I think this coming election is going to close up each and everything. This is the time that we need to shape our country. There are only 2 big problems of our country, Uganda. Number 1 problem is Mr. Museveni. The second problem is the system of governance. That is why, as the Revolutionary People's Party, we are looking at federalism. Federalism is the way to go, and it is our core. The RPP, we believe that even if Mr. Museveni goes and we have another president, and we don't change the system of governance, we shall remain in the same problems. In my first 100 days, that's why I pledge that Uganda is going to go federalist. Bulira Frank Kabinga, I was groomed by the Uganda Young Democrats. I started my politics in the Kasubi Church of Uganda Primary School way back during the CA times. I joined the Uganda Young Democrats in the second generation after the Dr. Rurume's first generation of UID, the Mabikes. I was part of the second generation, and I was the spokesperson of the Uganda Young Democrats under the leadership of Susan Abo by then. Then I was the students leader for Uganda Young Democrats until I joined Dr. Aggrey Kiyingi. I joined Dr. Kiyingi purposely because I wanted to remove Mr. Museveni, period. I didn't want to overstay in the opposition. You all much well know that Dr. Agre Chiyingi was standing in the true path of changing this country. In fact, if Dr. Chiyingi or Dr. Besigye had been in this race, I wouldn't have contested. Because they are the only two people who had solutions to changing this government, who were focused on removing Mr. Museveni and with realistic solutions. We have done enough politicking, and it is now time to remove Mr. Museveni. That is why I also argue my fellow candidates, fellow contestants, if they are really genuinely looking at removing Mr. Museveni first, to join me, and we remove Mr. Museveni. We shall sort other issues regarding parties and our aspirations after removing Mr. Museveni after 15th January. So I'm here, dear Ugandans, presenting myself as your next president come 2026. My campaign was derailed. As you know, Dr. Chiyingi, he was living miles away from Uganda, but he was the most feared man. Mr. Museveni feared Dr. Chiyingi more than opposition leaders sleeping in Kampala and Wakiso. You know that.
It's a debate, Mr. Frank Mulira, your time is up, 4 minutes, but since you want to remove Mr. Museveni, then I ask that you move from your seat and come sit next to these two gentlemen, in between these two gentlemen who have also rightly said that they're doing the same thing. Please stand up and come and sit in between the general and the one who's promising in New Uganda.
No, I'm number one.
It is okay, we shall decide on 15. Thank you very much. Each candidate being reminded you have 4 minutes for your introduction. And now we move to the second candidate, candidate Joseph Mabirizi.
Good evening once again. My name is Elton Joseph Mabirizi Salango from Conservative Party, the party which has outlived generations. In CP, we have the uniqueness that we stand for. Number one, it's about the governance, which requires fabrication to come up with something new which can fit in the generation we live in. We stand for regional governments, and when we talk about regional governments, many people will ask, what do you mean exactly? We have 16 regions of Uganda, and those 16 regions must have small governments where they share power with the central government. Uganda is like a sinking boat in an ocean. Without coming up with regional governments, we would have done nothing, even if we elect any other leader. So regional governments, this is where power is shared, resources, responsibilities are shared with the central government. And when you come up with such a government, you would have dealt away with so many problems in Uganda that we are facing today. For example, the problem we are facing where all authority belongs to one person, where security is just in central government. taxes are collected and just go into a small group of people to govern that. So there is a great need to institute regional governments to ease service delivery, and at the same time creating a lot of jobs, which is a problem that we are facing today, but also working on the system of education that we are having in Uganda, which does not help parents, it doesn't help the graduates, the learners, it doesn't help even the government. The first beneficiary of the citizens or the graduates, it is the government. But when they finish, you find that there are no jobs, which has created a lot of dependence. People are working, are very few, and many depend on others. Thank you.
Thank you for that, sir. On to you, Mr. Mafabi.
My name is Nathan Mandara Mafabi. I came in this election. I come from Front for Democratic Change. Our theme is fixing the economy and the money in our pockets. The current problem in Uganda is three-phase: corruption, that is greed, poverty, injustice. I have worked in the whole country. You discover poor mothers, poor fathers, who are selling tomatoes, oranges. They cannot even make enough to feed their families. Our children go to school. Out of 10 children who join primary school, only 2 reach P7. That means they are 80% dropout. You go to the health center, they will refer you, go out for medical attention, go and buy medicine, go for scan, and those are the main things which bring us in this election. And what's the problem? We have been around for 40 years. We have been talking about peace, 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 and I don't think Ugandans can now eat peace because the peace is there. What we need is people to have jobs, and when they have jobs, they earn a living. We look forward to investing in agriculture, we look forward to investing in education, we look forward to investing in the health sector, we look forward to investing in infrastructure. I come with experience, because I have studied all those. I come with experience in economy, in accounting, in taxation, in knowing poverty, how it's painful. I have worked, unfortunately, I mentioned that only, maybe you are there, but I was in mutual finance. I worked for World Bank, and we have advised many governments, and have come up with poverty. So I am coming here with experience to help Uganda to move forward. I come as an employee. I want to be a servant, serve you with all my energy to ensure that people of Uganda can have the 3 meals which are designated in our lives. I am aware that we are 8 candidates, but each of us has his own manifesto. Our manifesto is very clear, it's spelling out what is supposed to be done. We want to create jobs. 60% of the youth are unemployed. 84 people live on 14 people. This is the danger, and this is the biggest insecurity we are having in our country. You get people are walking on the street from morning to evening, looking for what to do, what to eat, and this is causing a lot of problems in our country. In fact, the next time bomb is from the unemployment of the youth. Currently, our economy is structured in such a way that the service sector, which is contributing about 50%, is externalized. That's the telecom, that is the financial sector, and even the industrial part is belonging to the foreigners. Local Ugandans themselves, who live on agrarian economy, which contributes almost 80% of our livelihood, are only having a 23.8 GDP contribution, meaning that our people are living as slaves in their country. This is what we need to resolve, and it's urgent, and it needs somebody who's experienced in that area. In my life, I've been in Parliament for 25 years. I have been there advocating for, justice. I've been advocating for, because there's a lot of social justice, I have been advocating for this issue to do with poverty alleviations. Every election, we see a different thing that they are doing. In 1996, they brought it under. In 2001, they brought Presidentail. In 2006, they brought Bonaba Gagawa. In 2011, they brought Prosperity for All. In 2016, they brought Emioga. In 2021, they brought Operation Noise Question. Now in 2026, PDM. If these were really aiming to remove poverty, and they have not done, it means there's total failure in the government. Our government lacks transparency, management, and corruption is at the theme.
Thank you for your submission, sir. Let's move on to candidate Robert Chapman.
Thank you very much, dear distinguished moderators, honorable colleagues with whom I'm running for the noble responsibility of leading our nation, ladies and gentlemen present here, and those watching us from afar. I am humbled to be here contesting to lead our country, and it's great pleasure and honor to be representing the common people of our country. As a person who comes from the ghetto and rose to represent the nation at the highest level, I cannot take any further pride than that. But also, I am aware that we are in a nation that is at crossroads. We had independence 63 years ago, and 40 of those years have been covered by one man who has reduced our country to a failed state. Absolutely, it is clear to all and sundry that this nation, which is primarily young, has clearly made a decision, only that they have been stifled. I am aware that I will be taking over a nation where 1.5 babies are born every year, taking over a nation where almost half of the budget goes to servicing debts. I'm aware that I'm taking over. What we promise is a new Uganda which is going to reset. Our country has completely been messed, and it needs to start afresh. Every institution has been captured, and we intend to start again in a new Uganda where people are going to be servants, where citizens of Uganda should take over power to decide the destiny of their lives. As we stand right now, the people of Uganda don't have a vote, they don't have a voice, and they don't have power over their nation. Its state has been captured completely, and we hope to liberate not just the citizens, but also those that are leading the country. On the downside, I had really hoped to meet General Museveni here, so I could publicly face him and hear what more lies he has to tell us after 40 years. To hear from him straight the gains he's protecting. Is he protecting the potholes? Is he protecting the rotten hospitals? Is he protecting the broken down schools, the broken down infrastructure? Is he protecting his power and right to torture citizens? I had always wanted to hear that, not privately, but publicly from General Museveni. Anyway, it's all right that he's not here because he's in the past and we are discussing the future of our country. So I'm very glad and I hope to share ideas and to teach and learn from these our colleagues. But of course, I must assert it that the people of Uganda, especially the young generation, the new generation that I largely represent, is committed to changing their country and to taking back the right to determine their destiny. I am ready and committed to lead the charge to change Uganda, so help us the Almighty God.
Good evening, with your introduction and why Uganda should believe in your cause.
Thank you, dear moderators. Making this opportunity again to thank all Ugandan citizens who are sitting in this room and those who are watching us. I'm called NTV. I want the flag for Alliance for National Transformation, whose mantra is values-driven leadership. We entered this race very well knowing the state of our country. For 63 years, we've been in a vicious cycle. John Museveni being the 9th president, regime after regime, promises are made, promises are never fulfilled. And we reach a point where we believe that there must be something up there that causes leaders to get up there in spite of the promises that they do make. What makes them drunk to a point where they lose direction, they don't fulfill promises, they trample on citizens, and unfortunately at this point in time, we have not even had the experience where one leader hands over power to another. That's sad. Some of us had hoped that we'd see the breaking out of that vicious cycle. Where we're heading, we are not so sure whether that will be or not. We'll keep on struggling. We hope that we'll see that at some point. We've been moving around the country now for about 2 months. The state of our people is quite frightening. Joblessness, the levels of joblessness of the youth, the depth of poverty that you read on the faces of the people, and in what they express. The lack of drugs in hospitals, government hospitals, and very well knowing that there are those who can't afford to go to private hospitals, which means they can't afford the bills, which means that most people just go home to die. That's been going on for quite a while. In the area of joblessness, even the few jobs which are viable, not only at the national level, but even at the local government level, because they have so far gone through 74 districts. And I made it a point to ask everywhere we go whether there are transparent systems of young people getting jobs. And the response has been uniform throughout. I've not been to a district where I've got a response that you can go and interview, and when you succeed, when you are the best, that you can get a job, unless you know someone, unless you get bribe. That's quite frightening, that government jobs can be sold. So the people out there who still believe that General Museveni should continue, I've been urging them on the campaign trail. But considering that state of affairs and the frightening levels of corruption in this country, we lose 10 trillion Uganda shillings, that's about 2.7 billion United States dollars every year, that they should be considered. General Museveni should just simply be retired peacefully on 15th of January. And I've been urging them to look amongst the 7 of us and select one who can lead this country from the vicious circle in which it is, the mess at which we are, also considering the levels of the frightening levels of debt, that they look for a capable person. And I always project myself because of.
Thank you so much, Mugisha Montu. 5 candidates. We do also have 5 themes for the presidential debate. Please be reminded we are streaming across our social media platforms on Facebook as well as X, as well as TikTok. So share the link with the rest of Uganda. Equally on our website, www.ntv.co.ug, we are having the presidential debate live on NTV as well as Spark TV. As we start off, theme number 1, youth unemployment and the jobs, or the economic reset. I'm going to start with candidate Frank Mulira. Just to shape the narrative, candidate, Uganda has a very young population, as according to the UBO statistics from the population census having been conducted in 2024, more than 73% of citizens being under the age of 30, including about 14 million people aged between 15 and 30, marking about 31%. And then we look at the latest labor data also showing us that only about 37% of these young people are actually employed and working. About 16% of them are choosing or are able to stay in school, and roughly 40 to 42% are neither in employment. We cannot trust them in education, neither can we pin them in training. Youth unemployment is standing currently at 16.3% compared to the 11.7%. Overall, when we look to the female perspective, the youth unemployment is also closely higher at 20%. The figures do go on, but each year about 700,000 people do enter the labor market, but only about 34% of that figure is actually absorbed in jobs. Candidate Frank Mulira, given these realities, what concrete measures beyond the national employment strategy, beyond the national development plan 4 that we're currently running as a country, will you implement in your first 3 years? 1, to raise job absorption well above 34%. 2, cut the youth lit rate by at least 10%. And then 3, to ensure that the additional jobs being created are decent, they're formal, and are creating opportunities rather than incurring a lot of pressure on the informal sector.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, surely poverty is everywhere, but our case as Uganda is so worrying. Just as I said, we can speak a lot, but the biggest problem of Uganda is Mr. Museveni and the system of governance. Those are the 2 biggest problems, bringing about youth unemployment, growing at the fastest rate, and people losing hope in their country and in the future. As the Revolutionary People's Party, under the new federal arrangement, remember, after 15th January next year, in the next 2 weeks, Uganda will be announced as the new Federal Democratic Republic, governed under the 16 federal states, taking charge of their wealth. The Revolutionary People's Party is going to take the jobs closer to the people, where they stay. Gone are the days when everyone has to come to Kampala looking for jobs. People going to kneel before Mr. Museveni to get survival, including ministers. Public servants, you have to meet Mr. Museveni in order to survive, in order for your child to be given a bursary. The federal arrangement is going to take back the jobs in the areas, the 16 proposed federal states making up Uganda. First of all, we are going to introduce the Federal Economic Empowerment Program. The Federal Economic Empowerment Program is going to replace these failed parish development models, which are just enriching NRM cadres and RBCs, swindling taxpayers' money, the Operation Welfare Creations, just helping soldiers to build more mansions and build arcades. They are all going to be scrapped, and the Federal Economic Empowerment Program is going to look at the Ugandans in Sebei, are going to be placed in the cement factories, where you even have truck drivers who are Chinese, in Kasarem, in Kapchora.
Mr. Leader, can you name one country that's operating a federal system?
UAE, Germany.
Which ones of those are over just under 63 years?
God said about UAE and its background. There was a time when Uganda was far ahead of UAE. You remember that one time Idi Amin Dada gave food aid to UAE when the current president was the father of the current Sheikh Al Maktoum. He gave UAE food aid, plus the little soil UAE has. It was taken from here and it mixed with the sun. UAE, every tree in UAE and grass has to be irrigated in order to live for a day.
I worry.
But it is the capital city of the world right now. Uganda would be so far better if we had gone federal.
I worry you might not know that much about federalism, because the best example,
according to you,
the United States of America, which is operating on a federal system. From the federal system, you go down to the state system, then from the state system, you go down to municipals. So I worry that you want to implement something that you're not very savvy with.
That is according to you.
No, this is the biggest economy in the world. So if you're to give an example, at least let's go with one that has...
I give the example of UAE because it's the country I know most. The king of Dubai is my good friend Sheikh Al Maktoum, and the president of UAE, Sheikh Nayan. So it is a live example. My second home is in UAE. I've admired a lot from UAE under their arrangement, whereby you don't need to go to Sharjah when you are in Abu Dhabi to get a service. Everything is well catered for in a particular federal state or province. Provinces are competing. When Abu Dhabi builds a big skyscraper, Dubai will bring Burj Khalifa. When Al Alain does this, you know, in the end, the country ends up developing. In Nigeria, you don't need to go to, if you are in Lagos, you are contented. You don't need to go to Abuja. You don't need to go to Kumasi. So,
Kumasi is in Ghana. You have run out of time. Thank you, Mr. Bulira. As you can imagine, it is going to be a very heated conversation. And if I do jump in, my credentials might permit me to do that. On to the next candidate. Let's look at Mr. Joseph Mabidizi. Quick question, Mr. Mabidizi. Are you familiar with the Malabo Declaration? Could you kindly switch on your mic? Are you familiar with the Malabo Declaration?
So many declarations has been done.
That is a yes or no question.
So which one do you mean exactly?
Malabo Declaration, Africa Union. Are you familiar with the Abuja Declaration?
Which one in particular? Because several of them, there are several which has been done.
I wouldn't want to
talking about the climate one. Are you talking about which one are you talking about?
Okay, let's talk about agriculture. A declaration was made where 10% of revenues going through this fiscal plan when it comes to spending of any nation that is privy to the African Union spends 10% of their revenue on agriculture. As you can imagine, Uganda does not do that. That being said, what would you do in your first few months as president of Uganda to fix that?
We have a very big plan about agriculture infrastructure, where we want to encourage much of small-scale industry, where people can use simple machines in agriculture.
Like hoes?
When I talk about simple machines, I know even a hoe falls under that, but there are other machines which are not big tractors, those ones which are operated just with small engines, those ones which are operated manually, just push them. So there are so many. So I'm not talking about only a hoe.
I'm very confused. Are we talking about combine harvest? I'm very confused. Going back to plowing with oxen, which one is it? Give me something concrete.
They are tractors, but now I'm talking about the simple machines which use these simple engines, which are affordable. They don't consume a lot of fuel, and they are being used in Malaysia. So you can use Malaysia, because for me that's where I saw them. So that's what I'm talking about, that once we we trade that and bring it into our nation, we would have helped a lot in agriculture.
But you're addressing something different, because what this declaration say is to have 10% of your GDP.
I understand your question. Give me time to answer.
Please go.
If you want me to answer your way, then it's something else.
Please proceed.
I have my way, and I can pass either way answer. So you want me to give the answer you have? I have my own answer. So, you know, I told the person who contacted me that let me hope you are taking me into a debate, not something like questioning you. Then you answer this, someone asks another question to take you off. So, what I was saying, there is a need to get that into that modernization agriculture, where we need to import simple machines to empower agriculture sector from the regions. And once you've empowered all the regions, having shared the power, responsibility, where the regions, they are also responsible for collecting taxes, and after collection of taxes, they only give 40% to the central government. Then 60% remains in the region. So the regional governments, they are responsible to institute and put into practice what fits their region according to agriculture. So it will be the responsibility of the regions sitting and deciding. Even what the declaration aimed at may be less. Each region will decide according to the need of that region. That's what we call shared power. It's not about only one person dictating that things should move in this direction or the other direction. That will be the responsibility of the regional governments.
Makes sense. Thank you.
All right, as we do go on, be reminded that our first theme of the night is youth unemployment and economic reset. This is where we'd like to turn to Honorable Robert Chagonani Sentable, the one who has quite a large youth following. These are young boys and girls who need technical skills that are primarily scarce in our country right now. We look to training, we look to education, vocational education, and we also look to tertiary education that is still by and large weak. And also the digital economy is leaving so many people behind. From what you have seen in the many days you have been all over this country, if you were to become president, what immediate reforms will you use to drive an overhaul in Tibet, and then also build real digital skills and ensure that the young person you have been meeting on this campaign trail is actually not locked out of the future?
Thank you very much. And I'm glad you mentioned that indeed we've been traveling all over the country. For me, this is more realistic than idealistic. These are not just statistics, these are realities. These are people who've been there, and in every urban town we've seen hundreds of young people that show up, that are desperate, they're strong, they're talented, they want to work, but these are young people that have been failed by a system. It should be noted that Uganda is ranked the most entrepreneurial country in Africa. However, the young people are being failed because 70% of the small businesses that are started do not live to complete one full year. They are failed because of high taxes, They have failed because of the cost of money, high interest rates. They have failed because of high electricity rates. They have failed because of high transportation. This comes because of the broken down transport infrastructure. As a national unity platform in the new Uganda, we have a plan of establishing 10 million jobs. On here, we're going to do this by leveraging the tourism sector. As you know, Uganda is immensely gifted. We're going to leverage the manufacturing sector, and most importantly, the creative industry. Now, having come from the creative industry, I know the potential of the creative industry. Uganda is equally as talented as Nigeria, or even more talented. But looking at the Nigeria's creative industry, it is almost outcompeting the oil industry. In fact, they call it the new oil because it is largely seen as even more engaging and more incorporating of young people, of the ordinary citizen, than the oil sector. Now, our plan is as follows. First, we want to empower and support the small, medium enterprises and the cottage industries. Now, for the benefit of our voters out there, cottage industries are the small scale industries, mainly in homesteads, that are majoring in production. These, we must understand, looking at the growing economies of the world, these have been the unsung heroes of these growing economies. China, India, Brazil, name it. So, looking at these examples, we think it can be a benefit in Uganda. I'm looking at areas, especially these that are near borders, like Arua, like Chisoro, like Kabale. If they are supported, they could boost even production, and they could even boost export by looking at production of textiles.
When you say supported, what does that mean?
Supported means cutting down, reducing the cost of doing business, reducing the power costs, reducing the cost of money, reducing the interest rates, investing in transport infrastructure. This would make it easier for them, and it would boost them. Also, it's important to mention that in this line, we want to boost production. In our manifesto, we presented our school feeding program, where the government is going to be feeding children at school. Now, the people that are going to be supplying these foodstuffs are going to be the ordinary citizens. And in the new Uganda, the government will work with the Parent Teachers Association, the PTA, to ensure that they identify not only the most vulnerable, but also the most trusted and competent suppliers, the eggs, the wheat, the rice, the flour, to feed the children. This way, we're going to be able to support even the small producers, the women, and the ordinary people out there. We believe that this is not only going to boost education, but it's going to help in youth unemployment. We also intend to modernize our skills development.
Your time is spent, but I'm going to allow you a minute. You have made recognition of manufacturing and tourism. These are high level in terms of strategic for any presidential candidate. Leaders have been describing it as Uganda's economic growth. However, there's one structural problem that still hinders both sectors right now, and that is unreliable power supply and high electricity costs. What's your solution?
Well, the high electricity costs can be renegotiated. As government, we can go as far as renegotiating with Bujagali to ensure that the power comes down, because that is what is going to help the productivity. There's one thing, if you will allow me also to talk about, that's the exploitation. The current government prides in youth employment, where mainly the industries that are owned by foreigners actually exploit the citizens to an extent that young Ugandans are paid as low as 3,500 shillings a day. Now, I was in Parliament in 2019 and we passed the minimum wage bill. Unfortunately, General Museveni refused to sign it. Now, we are going to reintroduce it in a new Uganda and I will sign it.
Thank you for that. Let's move on to candidate Nandala Mafabi. I've been going through your manifesto, which is quite fascinating. It's something that you mentioned, cooperative-led agro-industrialization. You're familiar with that. And here you do target tea fertilizers at 30%. Explain to me how this sizzles into working on the youth unemployment problem in the country.
Thank you so much. First of all, Uganda is an agricultural country, so it's an agrarian economy. And the youth we have currently, if I give you an example, most of them are living in schools, or they have moved out of school, but they don't have land. They cannot be able to go on the land, actually. But agriculture employs about 80% of the Ugandans. Now, as a government, which should be serious government, should ensure that Ugandan citizens are employed. We're looking at skilling the youth, and you skill them in what you have. For example, you skill them in agriculture, you skill them in construction, you skill them even in ICT. Now, if you skill them in agriculture, that means you are trying to modernize agriculture. And if you're going to modernize agriculture, then this youth will be employed in university. I can tell you agriculture can go ahead to employ the biggest number of people. What do you do there? You produce what we call agro-processing. And if you go for agro-processing, those are industries and related industries. And when you bring agro-processing, the youth who have studied or who have not even had skill ones, but you can skill them, will go and work in agro-processing. And that's creating jobs. And I can assure you the biggest country now where we can create jobs currently is in agro-processing, in agriculture. And Uganda has an advantage, as I said, God has given us the best way. You can do anything. Now, for example, here we used to have 4 cash crops, and the cash crop meant where we used to get cash. That was coffee, cotton, tea, and tobacco. And the cotton we are raising, it is called, the cotton is called white gold. Now, what does we talked about tea? The tea is called magnetic money. Now, the tea, you see, right now you speak, the soils which have been growing tea have been taken to do other things. But why we're talking about fertilizers, you need to push that land to go more and more tea. And currently, even the activity they're growing, there's a lot of that which are being paid farmers. And the farmers are getting discouraged. A good government should not make farmers get discouraged. What should be there should be a mechanism whereby if there's overproduction, you have the stores, that is called silos. You must be the one, be the catalyst leading the marketing processes. You must be the one even trying to go into better industries, whereby you can create an industry and hand over. I'll give an example. I did it this year. Total Uganda, which was a secret international policy, they came with a policy of saying younger dealers. What they did, they would give a young man or young lady petrol station land, but they would give him fuel to run that petrol station. They would be deducting the margins, but leaving him or some money. Give him a period of about 3 years, they say he must exit, so that they bring another new dealer. And the purpose was to train them how to manage business. Many of them got out and obtained their own petrol station, and they're up there. If government of Uganda did the same to do education like that, whereby we pattern, even with private sector. Another example I can give in the pattern in if a company employs disabled people, it gets tax deductions from all these tax. If a company, if government of Uganda wants the youth to be employed, they will be employed. How? You once say you employ this youth in agriculture, you will have the following. 1, tax exemption, you will reduce tax. 2, you will be given some facilities, because the youth will be working and earning your living. The tax deduction and what you're giving is putting the young man or young lady to be employed. I can tell you, agriculture is one of the places we should invest more money, whereby we can have our youth employed. You talked about...
I know you're running out of time. I just want you to touch on this, right? Having worked for the World Bank, Rwanda does a very good job in Nyungwe with the tea processing. How would you use that example to address that? I just want you to help us on that. That's actually a positive, because I'm listening to a lot of sense here. Rwanda is growing a lot of tea in their new plantations, and you have a lot of case studies to make the tea plantations better.
Are you aware the Rwanda capital proposal, which was made by Uganda?
This is why
I'm trying to say that what Uganda is very good at writing proposals, but not good at implementing them. I am trying to tell you that this is what I'm raising can be done. Tea can generate money, tea can generate jobs. Because I'm saying that when we, first of all, the tea farmers will get money, the processors will get money, the transporters will get money. What I'm trying to say that if our target is to invest in tea, which we are putting in the manifesto, those tea growing areas will be used. We have talked about subsidizing fertilizers, putting, you see factories when you're trying to build a factory, you need. Because a person going to the bank to borrow money is more expensive. But the government can put a factory and hand it over and tell these people after the purchase time, you will have paid the factory for and go away. Currently in our country, I will give an example. There's a gentleman who was involved in the tea industry. What he did, he even borrowed money from the money lender. Well, you know Uganda now is being led by money lenders. What happened? The cost became high. She took my money. Listen to me. So, when he could not pay, of course, there was a lot of loss. Our country had been done in such a way that cost of capital is too high. And because even the reason why cost of capital is high is because of government. The biggest borrower is government. So it crowds private credit. And so when someone goes to the commercial bank to borrow, they will say, no money, or they give you at an expense, maybe there's more conditions. Now what I'm trying to say, in the tea sector, if you got to wait for me to come to do that, I will tell you that it will be a deliberate effort to put industries, to put processes, so that credit, which should have been somebody going there, will be given by government beyond leading it, so that we create jobs in that sector. Fertilizers will be given on services. And I can assure you the tea sector is the best now. Because initially we had 4 of them, 4 were working in. Tea can even overtake coffee. But of course coffee is still high. In the current situation now, it is coffee followed by tea. Now we're getting a lot of money from tea, but also the marketing process are being driven broadly. Government should lead in this process. I can assure you, I believe tea will create jobs and will make our youth employed.
All right, thank you so much. State matters agriculture, our national anthem does pride in our agriculture backbone, good climate and fertile soils. Gregory Mugisha Muntu. Many households are remaining in the subsistence economy right now as we speak, mostly in subsistence agriculture. You do have the standing current government prioritizing agro-industrialization, manufacturing with the incumbent, ensuring that there's a spread out of business and investment parks across the country. But there's also the element of tourism, construction, trade that are low-hanging fruits. Oil and gas have been promised that next year it should be bearing us some fruits. There's also works and transport. All these to acknowledge that there's a high failure rate of youth-owned businesses without systematic support in those particular sectors. How do you intend to actually ensure that there's policies, that there's public investment, that there's procurement that is geared towards ensuring that the young people's uptake into these sectors is one that will help them leapfrog from the statistics we know of?
The measure of development of a country must be reflected in the development of the people first and foremost. In Uganda, where 70% of the population is in agriculture, fisheries, crop as well as dairy. Things which is absolutely sad right now, that there was a total breakdown of extension services, and also credit is very expensive. other than PDM, which is touted all over the place, which is only 1 million, it cannot help farmers who want to invest, one, raising money for quality seeds, buying fertilizer in areas where you find that the soils have got depleted. Raising money for tractors or ox plows, that requires capital. And most of these peasants don't have access to capital. And our cooperative unions were literally broken down. It is very amazing that there is actually one fund. It is small, it's not big, the Agricultural Credit Facility, which is given by Bank of Uganda through commercial banks. In the 74 districts where I've gone, I have asked in about 8. It's only in one district of Moya where only 2 people raised their hands who were aware of such existence of such a fund. Now you can imagine, this is an agricultural country. There is a regime which touts PDM, which is on 1 million. And yet the fund which could have helped those who are in agriculture would go in. People are not aware of it at all. And it's a 12% per year. Farmers cannot survive on borrowing from commercial banks or borrowing from circles at 30%, 35% and above. Simply can't happen. And therefore we propose to increase agricultural credit and expand it and sensitize people, and also ensure that we either direct or work with the private sector to establish tractor hire services in the areas where they still have large chunks of land. That is only Lango, Chacholi, that's why you find peasants who still have, subsistence farmers who still have about 10, 15, 20 acres. And the other areas where people are still about 1 acre, 2 acres, that's a totally different approach that will be used. And there also needs to be cheap credit in terms of low interest rate, long-term repayment period for agro-processing. Because agro-processing, once you establish industries successfully and expanded, they become a market for those who are in subsistence farming. And also in the area of tourism, Salohan and fruit. But Uganda is one of the countries in the region which doesn't advertise Uganda, market Uganda. I think the countries which aggressively market the countries is Tanzania, Kenya, and Rwanda. Uganda has entries about 1.2 million tourists who come in. Kenya and Tanzania has about 2.5. If Uganda was able to advertise itself, it could celebrate of this country and so many opportunities that there are in terms of tourists, and increase that rate from 1.2 to possibly about 5 million people. The employment and the levels of opportunity that there will be, those will be expanding the base in the country, those will invest into cottage industries, because that will also be a market for agriculture and those who are agro-processing. If you get like 4 million in this country, great market for those, someone who is producing yogurt, someone who is growing carrots and cabbages, someone who is packing rice, someone who is all nature of things. Uganda has not, I think they are sleeping on the job when it comes to tourism in that regard, this regime. It will be our intention to ensure that we fully exploit the area of tourism, because it's not called a low-hanging fruit for nothing. Because investment doesn't take a long time. Marketing itself, once you have skilled advertising, there are so many Ugandans who are skilled in marketing, we can increase the tourist entries significantly in 5 years' time, and it will be a very big area for employment.
Okay. In your NTV manifesto 2026-2031, you are also very big about monitoring and evaluation of the manifesto you would have put out should you become president come 2026. What would be the indicators of success for the things that you have mentioned, particularly increasing the agricultural credit and also getting markets beyond our borders?
Pursue is the area of corruption. We consider it as public enemy number 1, because we lose 10 trillion Uganda shillings. That's about 2.7 billion United States dollars. And if you tackle first and foremost grand corruption, you know, where there are contracts for roads, contracts for water, contracts for energy facilities, where there are hundreds of millions of dollars which are lost, and you crack down, because we in our own party, we believe that if we dedicate effort in a span of 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you can reduce the loss through corruption of 2.5 billion. You can save about 70–80% of that. Reinvest it into the sectors which are needed: education, health, and also areas like I've already talked about, like in tourism. One, education, it may take a little bit of time to bear the results, but it's the highest form of wealth for any country that wants to develop. Because we are clearly aware that even countries which have nothing, not even one single mineral, when they invested in education, high quality education, and of course with good political management of those systems in such countries, some of them have developed. Example we keep giving is Japan. Now consider here, if you invest in good education, invest in having a healthy workforce, and also invest in agriculture, having food security, and also having citizens who are well fed. When you have those, plus the mineral potential which we have, and good political management, the sky is the limit for this country.
And the sky is the limit for your time. Thank you so much, Gregory Mugisha Muntu. We're going to take a short break. As we do so, please be reminded the hashtag that we are running with is NTV Presidential Debate 2025, and we are running on NTV as well as Spark TV, and we are streaming live across the social media platforms, mainly X as well as TikTok and Facebook, and our website. Now there is a poll that is running. Which part of the debate is interesting you the most? There's finance and economic growth, there's health and education, there is also security and governance, infrastructure development. Now, just to extract a few comments that are coming in from our online audience, thanks NTV for preparations. Page 35 manifesto, 4.2 clean water for all, national unity platform shows interest of reducing the cost of 20 litres to 10 shillings. And there's a question there on the possibility in an economy where 50 shillings is no longer in circulation. There's also one that has commented here, WAPS on X says, what are the specific national laws, regulations and doctrine that a government that has power can actually use to ensure that there's a security, particularly regarding the arrests, the detentions, and the use of force and the such that is happening. Basically what we have been seeing in the most recent days as far as security and stability is concerned. We also do have Waha on X when he says, when the economy is stable, security will have the funds for defense, education will be funded, infrastructures will be built, and the health will have enough drug supply, meaning the well-being of the citizens, boosting the growth of all sectors. At the end of the day, he believes that economy is the key for him. Thank you so much for your voices. Keep them coming. We take a short breather. We return shortly.
And thank you very much, dear distinguished moderators, honorable colleagues with whom I'm running for the noble responsibility of leading our nation, ladies and gentlemen present here, and those watching us from afar. I am humbled to be here contesting to lead our country, and it's great pleasure and honor to be representing the common people of our country. As a person who comes from the ghetto and rose to represent the nation at the highest level, I cannot take any further pride than that. But also, I am aware that we are in a nation that is at crossroads. We had independence 63 years ago, and 40 of those years have been covered by one man who has reduced our country to a failed state. Absolutely, it is clear to all and sundry that this nation, which is primarily young, has clearly made a decision only that they have been stifled. I am aware that I will be taking over a nation where 1.5 babies are born every year, taking over a nation where almost half of the budget goes to servicing debts. I'm aware that I'm taking over. What we promise is a new Uganda which is going to reset. Our country has completely been messed and it needs to start afresh. Every institution has been captured and we intend to start again in a new Uganda where people are going to be servants, where citizens of Uganda should take over power to decide the destiny of their lives. As we stand right now, the people of Uganda don't have a vote, they don't have a voice, and they don't have power over their nation. The state has been captured completely, and we hope to liberate not just the citizens, but also those that are leading the country. On the downside, I had really hoped to meet General Museveni here, so I could publicly face him and hear what more lies he has to tell us after 40 years. To hear from him straight the gains he's protecting. Is he protecting the potholes? Is he protecting the broken hospitals? Is he protecting the broken down schools, the broken down infrastructure? Is he protecting his power and right to torture citizens? I have always wanted to hear that, not privately, but publicly from General Museveni. Anyway, it's all right that he's not here because he's in the past and we are discussing the future of our country. So I'm very glad and I hope to share ideas and to teach and learn from these our colleagues. But of course, I must assert it that the people of Uganda, especially the young generation, the new generation that I largely represent, is committed to changing their country and to taking back the right to determine their destiny. I am ready and committed to lead the charge to change Uganda, so help us the Almighty God. Thank you very much. And I'm glad you mentioned that indeed we've been traveling all over the country. For me, this is more realistic than idealistic. These are not just statistics, these are realities. These are people who've been there, and in every urban town we've seen hundreds of young people that show up, that are desperate, they're strong, they're talented, they want to work, but these are young people that have been failed by a system. It should be noted that Uganda is ranked the most entrepreneurial country in Africa. However, the young people are being failed because 70% of the small businesses that are started do not live to complete one full year. They are failed because of high taxes, they are failed because of the cost of money, high interest rates, they are failed because of high electricity rates, they are failed because of high transportation. This comes because of the broken down transport infrastructure. As a national unity platform in the new Uganda, we have a plan of establishing 10 million jobs. And here we're going to do this by leveraging the tourism sector. As you know, Uganda is immensely gifted. We're going to leverage the manufacturing sector, and most importantly, the creative industry. Now, having come from the creative industry, I know the potential of the creative industry. Uganda is equally as talented as Nigeria, or even more talented. But looking at the Nigeria's creative industry, it is almost outcompeting the oil industry. In fact, they call it the new oil because it is largely seen as even more engaging and more incorporating of young people, of the ordinary citizen, than the oil sector. Now, our plan is as follows. First, we want to empower and support the small, medium enterprises and the cottage industries. Now, for the benefit of our voters out there, cottage industries are the small scale industries, mainly in homesteads that are majoring in production. These, we must understand, looking at the growing economies of the world, these have been the unsung heroes of these growing economies. China, India, Brazil, name it. So, looking at these examples, we think it can be a benefit in Uganda. I'm looking at areas, especially these that are near borders, like Arua, like Chisoro, like Kabale. If they are supported, they could boost even production, and they could even boost export. Looking at production of textiles.
When you say supported, what does that mean?
Supported means cutting down, reducing the cost of doing business, reducing the power costs, reducing the cost of money, reducing the interest rates, investing in transport infrastructure. This would make it easier for them and it would boost them. Also, it's important to mention that in this line we want to boost production. In our manifesto, we presented our school feeding program where the government is going to be feeding children at school. Now, the people that are going to be supplying these foodstuffs are going to be the ordinary citizens. And in the new Uganda, the government will work with the Parent Teachers Association, the PTA, to ensure that they identify not only the most vulnerable, but also the most trusted and competent suppliers, the eggs, the wheat, the rice, the flour, to feed the children. This way, we're going to be able to support even the small producers, the women, and the ordinary people out there. We believe that this is not only going to boost education, but it's going to help in youth unemployment. We also intend to modernize our skills development.
Your time is spent, but I'm going to allow you a minute. You have made recognition of manufacturing and tourism. These are high level in terms of strategic for any presidential candidate. Leaders have been describing it as Uganda's economic growth. However, there's one structural problem that still hinders both sectors right now, and that is unreliable power supply and high electricity costs. What's your solution?
Well, the high electricity costs can be renegotiated as government. We can go as far as renegotiating with Bujagali to ensure that the power comes down, because that is what is going to help the productivity. There's one thing, if you will allow me also to talk about, that's the exploitation. The current government prides in youth employment, where mainly the industries that are owned by foreigners actually exploit the citizens to an extent that young Ugandans are paid as low as 3,500 shillings a day. Now, I was in Parliament in 2019 and we passed the minimum wage bill. Unfortunately, General Museveni refused to sign it. Now, we are going to reintroduce it in a new Uganda and I will sign it.
Thank you for that. Let's move on to candidate Angela Mafabi. I've been going through your manifesto, which is quite fascinating. There's something that you mentioned, cooperative-led agro-industrialization. You're familiar with that. And here you do target tea fertilizers at 30%. Explain to me how this sizzles into working on the youth unemployment problem in the country.
Thank you so much. First of all, Uganda is an agricultural country, so it's an agrarian economy. And the youth we have currently, if I give you an example, most of them are living in schools, or they don't go there, they dropped out of school, but they don't have land. They cannot be able to go on the land, actually. But agriculture employs about 80% of the Ugandans. Now, as a government, which should be serious government, should ensure that Ugandan citizens are employed. We are looking at skilling the youth, and you skill them in what you have. For example, you skill them in agriculture, you skill them in construction, you skill them even in ICT. Now, if you skill them in agriculture, that means you are trying to modernize agriculture. And if you're going to modernize agriculture, then this youth will be employed in university. I can tell you agriculture can go ahead to grow the biggest number of people. What do you so we then produce what we call agro-processing. And if you go for agro-processing, those are industries and related industries. And when you bring agro-processing, the youth who have studied or who have not even unskilled ones, but you can skill them, will go and work in agro-processing. And that's creating jobs. And I can assure you the biggest now where we can create jobs currently is in agro-processing, in agriculture.
And thank you very much, dear distinguished moderators, honorable colleagues with whom I'm running for the noble responsibility of leading our nation, ladies and gentlemen present here, and those watching us from afar. I am humbled to be here contesting to lead our country, and it's great pleasure and honor to be representing the common people of our country. As a person who comes from the ghetto and rose to represent the nation at the highest level, I cannot take any further pride than that. But also, I am aware that we are in a nation that is at crossroads. We had independence 63 years ago, and 40 of those years have been covered by one man who has reduced our country to a failed state. Absolutely, it is clear to all and sundry that this nation, which is primarily young, has clearly made a decision, only that they have been stifled. I am aware that I will be taking over a nation where 1.5 babies are born every year, taking over a nation where almost half of the budget goes to servicing debts. I'm aware that I'm taking over. What we promise is a new Uganda which is going to reset. Our country has completely been messed and it needs to start afresh. Every institution has been captured and we intend to start again in a new Uganda where people are going to be servants, where citizens of Uganda should take over power to decide the destiny of their lives. As we stand right now, the people of Uganda don't have a vote, they don't have a voice, and they don't have power over their nation. The state has been captured completely, and we hope to liberate not just the citizens, but also those that are leading the country. On the downside, I had really hoped to meet General Museveni here, so I could publicly face him and hear what more lies he has to tell us after 40 years. To hear from him straight the gains he's protecting. Is he protecting the potholes? Is he protecting the rotten hospitals? Is he protecting the broken down schools, the broken down infrastructure? Is he protecting his power and right to torture citizens? I have always wanted to hear that, not privately, but publicly from General Museveni. Anyway, it's all right that he's not here because he's in the past and we are discussing the future of our country. So I'm very glad and I hope to share ideas and to teach and learn from these our colleagues. But of course, I must assert it that the people of Uganda, especially the young generation, the new generation that I largely represent, is committed to changing their country and to taking back the right to determine their destiny. I am ready and committed to lead the charge to change Uganda, so help us the Almighty God. Thank you very much. And I'm glad you mentioned that indeed we've been traveling all over the country. For me, this is more realistic than idealistic. These are not just statistics, these are realities. These are people who've been there, and in every urban town we've reached, we've seen hundreds of young people that show up, that are desperate, they're strong, they're talented, they want to work, but these are young people that have been failed by a system. It should be noted that Uganda is ranked the most entrepreneurial country in Africa. However, the young people have been failed because 70% of the small businesses that are started do not live to complete one full year. They are failed because of high taxes, they are failed because of the cost of money, high interest rates, they are failed because of high electricity rates, they are failed because of high transportation. This comes because of the broken down transport infrastructure. As a national unity platform in the new Uganda, we have a plan of establishing 10 million jobs. And here we're going to do this by leveraging the tourism sector. As you know, Uganda is immensely gifted. We're going to leverage the manufacturing sector, and most importantly, the creative industry. Now, having come from the creative industry, I know the potential of the creative industry. Uganda is equally as talented as Nigeria, or even more talented. But looking at the Nigeria's creative industry, it is almost outcompeting the oil industry. In fact, they call it the new oil because it is largely seen as even more engaging and more incorporating of young people, of the ordinary citizen, than the oil sector. Now, our plan is as follows. First, we want
Presidential debate 2026 does continue on. The rest for the State House of the Republic of Uganda, our 5 candidates having been resettled. Now we move on to the next critical theme of the night: security, governance, and justice. Arnold?
Thank you, Priscilla. One of the safest. I like that you brought in the UAE, arguably one of the safest countries in the world. Let's look at some statistics. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics, the data does show that 61% of Ugandans feel safe walking alone. Only 61%. This is from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. With such data, what would you implement to make sure that Ugandans feel safe and ultimately attract foreign direct investment to the country? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Security is so important. It is so important that it can bring down a country. Insecurity can bring down a country within just 1 week. Under our new federal arrangement, we are going to put emphasis on building a more professional army. Professionalism in the security and military forces will curb the useless arrests. Having a decent and presentable army, plus police and intelligence, and at the end,
having a police and intelligence services that don't persecute or torture citizens, but rather help in building the country and bringing about sanity and following the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. We are looking at strengthening community policing and improving the welfare plus training of our police force. In fact, the RPP is going to change the name of Uganda Police Force to Uganda Police Services. Police is supposed to be a service, like in other countries. It is not to be. We are going to demilitarize the police force. The police force, make it a police service, just as it is in Zambia and other countries. Police is going to be a service, not a force. Mr. Museveni did it deliberately to call it a force and keep it calling it a force so that it can be used to cause brutality to innocent Ugandans. So we are going to change the name Uganda Police Force to Uganda Police Services. Then, I'm sorry, I'm not using a lot of English. The English, too much English will come after swearing in. Right now, I know the people we are communicating with. The Wananchi, I want to speak and Senator, the Wananchi, I'm going to lead well, understand what I'm saying and what their country should be in the next 5 years. So I'm limiting the too much English. It won't help us. Right now we want to remove Mr. Museveni, bring back sanity in Uganda. The rest will come. So the Revolutionary People's Party is looking at having a force
that will be focusing on internal security mostly. We shall not deploy our military forces out of Uganda on useless battles. Our sons and daughters have died in Somalia, South Sudan, in useless battles. Yet we are supposed to protect Ugandans. Just as you've said, Mr. Segawal, people are not safe. Mr. Museveni went to the bush to bring about sanity and safety in this country. But people are not safe. There is no safety at all. Insecurity is added on the tortures, on the brutality, and the country totally just needs a change. The Revolutionary People's Party is also looking at motivating the police forces. At least the minimum salary a police officer should get will be $500, in addition to an allowance which will be given by the federal governments in the different regions. And we are going to recruit these police officers according to their regions. It doesn't, why does a DPC from Kiruhura, someone is from Kiruhura and is a DPC in Kapchora. Someone is from Bushenyi and is a DPC in Kuru. As if there are no Achoris who can be DPCs in those areas. So we are going to make sure under the new federal arrangement that we recruit police and position the police ranks according to the different regional setups. This is not sectarianism, but it is someone who would well work on, will well serve his people diligently when he's coming from that particular area. We shall have a force
All right, thank you so much. As we do continue to look to peace and security candidate Gregory Mugisha-Muntu, you want to start with the forces, the Uganda People's Defense Forces. Currently, we see a distortion of order in security in our country. We do have, for example, the Uganda police right now that should be supporting the Electoral Commission in this election cycle. Not new to the eyes and ears of Ugandans. You have seen, and we have seen, deployment of the Uganda police forces, as well as the UPDF. We have also seen incidences where the UPDF has captured some people, taken them to the basement, a duty and responsibility that falls primarily under law and order, which should be the mandate of the Uganda police. So we see a breakdown in the system and the dissemination of peace and security in our country. If you were to be elected president, how would you reinstate the rightful order? What's the rightful order anyway to begin with?
You cannot effectively deal with the security problem in the country unless you deal with the political question first. Because the army and the municipal services are involved in unlawful activities because of the wrong orders they get, which are rooted in politics, because the top just wants to hang on to power. There are many officers and men in all those forces who love the country as much as we love it, who are well educated, who are well trained. So once there is a conducive political environment that is deliberately created, they can professionalize all those forces. That's one aspect of security, or because of insecurity. There's also another aspect that causes insecurity in this country. You can't have security unless you eliminate poverty. There are many places where we are going, through the villages. The people are staying with animals in their homes. Because if the animals are outside the homestead or outside the house, they stay with animals inside the house. They stay out because of the desperation of the people. They steal those animals. And when there's that nature of insecurity, even if you have 500,000 police officers on the beat, you are not going to control people who are desperate, who need something to eat. And therefore, the only way you can tackle that form of insecurity is to be invest in the lifting of people from the levels of poverty where they are and ensure that they have got the means to cater for themselves and their families. Two, issues of justice. I hear those in the regime normally talk about peace, talk about stability. Peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of justice. So justice and stability and security are more or less interrelated. Now, if you use the army, police services, and intelligence services in a state where there is no justice, yes, you can clamp down on people, but to know that you are creating conditions for an ultimate situation where there will be an explosion. Basically, it means sitting on a time bomb. And we have seen countries which have effectively done that, clamp down on people because of the police and intelligence services maintaining control over the grievances of people. But normally it's an explosion. That's not the direction we should be moving towards. And therefore, under our government, one, would want to deal first and foremost to ensure that there is a leadership that follows the law, the constitution and the law. Because that's also a form of security for those who are in power, and also those who may not be in power. But once there is that realization, those who are in power, that you must operate under the law, then it secures you in the sense that you don't even fear to leave power. Because when you leave power, when you have been operating under the law, you know that you are in the clear, you are not going to be harassed by anybody in terms of reprisals. So to us in Alliance for National Transformation, that's key. As they say, a fish was from the head. You must have a head up there that is able to understand the dynamics of governance, the dynamics of security, the dynamics of creating an environment in which the best Ugandans who are in those forces, like in the army, there are many Ugandans out there who really would do the best that they can, but because of wrong political orders, they are exposed to doing wrong. It's unfortunate, it is sad, but I would like to believe that we're almost seeing the tail end of that kind of situation in our country.
Okay, they always say the fish rots from the head.
Yeah.
Let's borrow an example from our neighbors in Kenya. In 2010, they decided to change their constitution. One of the things that they were trying to remedy was the reduced presidential powers and also introducing stronger checks and balances towards governance and democracy. If we were to elect you as president on the 15th of January, how would you treat the current standing constitution as it is and the powers that it gives you as president on the day that you are inaugurated?
One of the things that we want to ensure that is processed and established in the constitution, the question of term limits. However, constitutions alone are not the issue, because we have had many countries where they have been the best constitutions, but they are always overridden. Why? Because of the culture. That's why we keep concentrating on ensuring that we get the men and women who not only talk about these issues of governance that we talk about. The Americans say talk is cheap. None of us can say about the things that we say. Culture, to change culture, you must get people who are in leadership, who are acting out of conviction. If you don't get people who are operating out of conviction, I mean, who can't
to 17% of Ugandans pay bribes, and 88% of those see corruption as a concern in the country. What would you do to improve Uganda's corruption perception index, which is terrible?
Thank you very much. You see, before we find a solution, it's very important for us to analyze the problem. I think it all begins and ends with leadership, and Mildred mentioned it a few moments ago, that the fish rots right from the head. It all goes back to governance. It all goes back to the political will to fight freedom. As we stand right now, the Inspector General of Government, the IGG, Mulyagonja, mentioned some time ago that the big fish in corruption are always pursued and they hide behind the president. We are in a country where the head of state is the chief priest of corruption. You have seen scandal after scandal, and all the culprits of corruption are protected by the head of state. You saw Anita Among, the current Speaker of Parliament, sanctioned internationally because of corruption, but being protected by the head of state. Just a few days ago, a person that the court actually said had a case to answer on corruption, a minister called Lugorobi, he was cleared. Meanwhile, on the same day, other people were being arrested. There was allegations around Parliament, allegations of corruption, and the leader of opposition, who happens to be in presence today, wrote to the IGG to investigate those cases, and the IGG went mute. You have seen scandal after scandal in Parliament, 40 million bribe, 50 million bribe, 100 million bribe, all in exchange for the passing of classified money to be used by General Museveni, etc., etc. We have demonstrated our stand on corruption with the little power that we have, and we indeed continue to commit to Ugandans that as president, I will lead by example. When the president fights corruption, when the president observes zero tolerance to corruption, it goes down to the ministers, goes down to the permanent secretaries, and all the way down to all government officials. Our commitment will be zero tolerance to corruption. We've demonstrated that, and we will ensure that anybody that puts their hand in public money, the hand will not come out there, but the neck will go there as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Robert Chagulanyi. Nandala Mafabi, if you were to become president, how will you change what Mugisha Muntu referred to as the culture? So there's the command culture that we're seeing right now. There's the oversight of security forces, and in the most recent days, as has been pretty much the last 3 electoral cycles, we have seen infringement on rights and freedoms and a fair playground for all the 8 candidates in the race. Right now, you were 8. You've been able to see what has happened to Mwami neighbor, Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu there, as he was traversing areas of Mukono, Kayunga, the tear gas, and some people, as we speak, are not here with us today simply because of that. If there were some people in your government that were not happy with how you were doing things, how would you deal with them?
First, to begin with, security is a cost. Currently, the budget of the current government, security is 9.7 trillion. 9.7 trillion. Instead of creating jobs or investing money in what? Security. And purposely to protect an individual. If you went now on the street, the insecurity you'll get there is not of a gun. You'll get an insecurity of somebody wanting to find something to eat. And that's why we're saying, first and foremost, to deal with the insecurity, you look at 3 things: the poverty, the inequality, and injustice. If people have what to eat, they will not be on the street. There will be less cost in the security to police them. If there are inequalities, people will want to have equality. And as a government, you should ensure there is quality. Even our constitution is very clear. A country must be developed equally, where those who are less developed are given a special consideration. And this also brings a problem. Injustice. You treat others differently, others who don't obey the law, is very dangerous. So what will happen? A good government should follow the rule of the law. And the rule of the law means everybody is equal before the what? The law. Currently, let me go ahead a bit, then I come back to the security. Currently, we are getting political judgments, not getting judgments following real justice. And the first place where people should be dealt with is judiciary. Now, in Uganda, the head of state is the same as the head of government. And you know, government is the one which consists of the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Now, he's the head of state, he's the head of government, he interferes in all this. And the first thing to deal with is to reduce the powers of a president. So that's the first thing to deal with. And another thing which for us we're looking at is to restore even term limits and the age limit. Now, what will happen now? If you are not agreeing with somebody, you have no pass as head of state to be able to determine the case. There should be processes to determine. And the judiciary should be the one which works. The parliament should be the one which also works. And of course, the executive controls the police should be the one which works. I believe if police was a real police force, which is supposed to protect the citizens of Uganda, to maintain law and order, it wouldn't be the one to fight the citizens. And that's what we're saying. The police should be a professional police. That applies to the army. The army should be the army which is a professional army, not an army which comes to terrorize citizens.
Okay, allow me to interrupt. On that note, if you were to take over power, there's already a backlog in our prisons right now. 89% of citizens are aware of their right to seek justice, but only 17% are able to claim this justice and claim it in time, with only 15% knowing about the free legal aid in their sub-county levels. What are the top 3 justice sector reforms you would actually prioritize in order to deal with the backlog, especially for political prisoners, and disposal of targets, ensuring that this fairness and justice is delivered in real time?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, judiciary. You know, the judiciary does not function. If it is functioning, there are cases in those courts which are more than 20 years old, not decided. Now, those are both commercial cases and political cases. Now, political cases are basically for purpose of making a sitting government to infringe on the rights of individuals. So that's why the human rights organization, the Human Rights Commission, should be one of those enforcing this. The most important is to give capacity to Human Rights Commission, give it capacity, give it resources, and be able to investigate human rights abuses. Number 2, political prisoners, if you are in contestation of politics, it should also be decided in politics. There's no need to take your colleague in prison. If it is now like an election, allow him contest. Don't curtail anybody's rights. 3, access to justice. Of course, many people don't know their rights. And because even the access to justice sometimes is very expensive. Let me give an example. You go and get my mother deep in the village in the mountains, who will not know her rights. To go to court, you move maybe, say, 50 kilometers. What time will you reach court?
You have mentioned the cost of justice. What strategies would you deploy to reduce the cost of justice?
First of all, employ professional judges. You should not employ cadres. You should employ people who know their work. Number 2, you should ensure that there's public awareness. Where there is no one able to get justice, let's say getting a lawyer, the state should be able to provide remedies.
and make sure the person is represented. 3, there must be civic education. The civic education must be on radios every day, telling people that should you have this, this is what you should follow. This is where you should go. But here already was only talking about elections and PDM, what is not useful for now. This is very important, and that is a deliberate effort. You must invest in it. And of course, there must be also audit of judgments. The Judicial Service Commission, which is the one in charge of it, should audit these judgments to confirm if the judge was right or not. Of course, when I meet a judge, I'm meaning giving the magistrate grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 going upside. So we will need that. Also, the other one is we employ people whom have not even investigated, audited. In Kenya, they did it well. Before somebody is appointed, the public talks about them. Some of these people we employ are criminals, and they are the ones dealing with this. Some of them are merchants. So these are the things we should deal with. The public should come out, be public hearing before somebody is employed in the judiciary.
Thank you for that. Mr. Mabirizi, there's an act in a certain country called the Pose Comitatus Act, and it basically prohibits the army from operating domestically. From your approach of regionalism, how would you fix the Ugandan army? As we've heard, reports now saying that they will be responsible for protecting the vote after it's been cast, which is domestic approach, usage. How would your regional approach address this?
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. First of all, I want to arrest your fears. I'm going to start from the other end, not from where you want me to start from. You've heard me talking about regional governments. If you can recall, in 1980, there was a man called Mayanja Nkanj. Mayanja Nkanj, he could raise out his 2 fingers. The 2 fingers representing, number 1, the government of peace, number 2, the 2 governments. And those 2 governments, we are talking about the regional governments. And when it comes to regional governments, we are the CP, we are the architecture, the champion of federal. So we are talking about federalism, the tangible one, which can work to solve all the problems of Uganda. So in a regional government, where I've already told you that there is share of power, so the recruitment of soldiers, the policemen and so forth, it depends on the population of the region, or per region. Not only that, but in every region, because it is in the set of a federal government, in every region, they have got judiciary department. In that small government, if in courts call them small governments, they have a department which concerns with security. They have people who are responsible. They have ministers who can carry out different work in different departments. So with such a setting, you would have waved away or dealt away with only one man having all power on everything. So when you do that, the regional governments cater for their security because they are independent in their setting. These are federal governments. So they cater for their security, though they do work with the central government because it's a shared responsibility. It's a shared way of handling and working or promoting security in a nation. So once you have instituted regional governments, you will not have any problem with security. And when we talk about security, security starts with the citizens, getting to know who is my neighbor. So once the setting is in regional government, whoever enters that region, at least people get to know each one has got to know his neighbor. Once there is any visitor who comes, so they get to know that so and so has come in. So with that, and having put judicial courts in all those regions, secured jobs for people, people have shared the power and responsibility, so you will not face any problem which concerns security. So we don't need to borrow any other kind of security abroad or looking at a certain government. We can just do our own here. Once we get to know that what can solve all the problems of Uganda is federalism. Without that, leaving power in only one man's hand, nothing can change.
Thank you for that, Candidate Mabirizi. At this point, Priscilla.
Well, at this point, you are reminded that we'll be closing this debate at 11 p.m. And as we do so, we do believe that you have reactions, you do have some comments. We do have sector leaders in our audience this evening that would like to respond to what has been submitted of our 5 candidates. Equally, our online audience has some burning questions, and so we'll be interacting with you in a short while. Let's start on our final bend, finance and economic development. And I'm going to start with the man who has told us that on the race to 2026, he intends to put money in what? In our pockets. Hey. Okay, fixing the economy is just one element, but one who's a financial advisory. What does Uganda need to fix the economy, with or without you as president? Nandala Mafabi.
I think you are aware. Let me start from 1986. In 1986, our budget was 777 billion, before removing the 2 zeros, 86, 87. And that budget was able to do a lot of work. You know, they did what they could. Even university students who would study for free, somebody would say it was only one university. Currently, if you remove 2 zeros, you get 7.7 billion. Right now, our budget is 72.3 trillion. That means it has gone more than 10,000 times. But what have we got? So all along this time, what has happened is what? One, wastage. We are talking about corruption. Is one of our main problems in this country. Every year, they steal over 10 trillion shillings. Now, when they are stealing that money, first it increases the demand on taxes. So that's why people have to pay taxes to cater for theft. In our economy, we have money in houses. It is counted in circulation, but it is not houses. But let me focus on the one of this current one. Now, 72.3 trillion, yet we are estimating to collect 72.3 trillion, yet we're going to collect 37.2 trillion. It means already we have a deficit financing of 35.1 trillion. What does that mean? It means we're going to borrow. Now, that's what we go. They'll go to commercial banks. I'm sure they're going also to go to money lenders like our local people are doing. But that already is a demand on cash in banks. Now, when the banks will be preferable to lend money to government than the private sector. So if the private sector does not borrow money for investment so that it can be able to generate jobs, because if I went to a bank, I want to borrow money to put up a maize meal, but because of the cost of the money, I will not go there. Eventually, that means that investment will not happen. Now, jobs will not be there because the current government will be the one going to the commercial bank to borrow. That's what we're calling crowding credit, which is meant for the private sector. 2, if people don't have jobs, there will be no power to consume. Because if I've got a job, I'll have money to buy goods and services. And when I buy goods and services, that's when I will also be paying good taxes on consumption taxes. But since I don't have capacity, I will be remaining a beggar.
Speaking of taxes, I Naloga Priscilla Regina, I am constantly paying taxes. There's more taxes that are slapped on me ever so often. In short, what I'm trying to say is that the tax base remains the same. How do we expand the tax base?
I think if you had listened to me, you would have got how you expand. Because I've said, if you have overcrowded, you have crowded the credit for the private sector, there's no investment. If there's no investment, there's no employment. Anybody who is employed pays taxes by either consuming goods and services, if it's not at the pay as you earn level, but at a certain level, you'll pay as you earn, which is a direct tax. Now, how do we do this? First, we must release credit so that the private sector is able to access credit at a lower interest rate, so that he's able to invest and get a return. Currently, the country Uganda we're living in, everybody now, if I'm not mistaken, every village you go now, there are money lenders who are lending our local people maybe 100,000, but they're charging 50% for only 1 month. Already those are the ones depriving those people to remain in poverty on a daily basis. Now, how do we go about it? We must expand the tax base. We shall expand the tax base if the government reduces its appetite for money which they are wasting. Cut corruption, you see defense, 9.9 trillion. If this money you invested it in productive sector, like agriculture, it will generate more money because that will create jobs. And that's what we're saying, it must be invested in better places. Insecurity will go down quickly because the biggest insecurity is because of lack of jobs. 3, currently, 14 people are the one maintaining 86 people. Now that's very dangerous. A country which is full of beggars is very dangerous. And that's where we are saying we must cut it down and make sure that people can get it. And that's why in agriculture, we're talking about cooperatives. Everybody what we grow, government will
Okay, thank you so much. You can find more details in the manifesto for the Forum for Democratic Change candidates. We're going to allow you to take a breather as we are getting reactions from the audience. We do have various sector leaders that are in our audience tonight. Amos Wekesa has joined us this evening, and he's been an ambassador of Uganda's tourism, so much so that he ended up setting up shop in a neighboring country simply because of the things that you, candidate Nandala Mafabi, are talking about. Amos Wekesa.
Good evening. I'm not a politician, so I don't know protocol very well. It's been thank you so much, NTV, for inviting me this evening. And thank you, presidential candidates, for very good insights that we've listened to this evening. Of course, I will be a little bit biased that Mr. Honorable Munti did a fantastic job in dissecting tourism. I was actually shocked that you related it to everything else, to security, to the market. Yeah, if 4 million tourists arrive Uganda, each of them will eat 2 eggs a day, and they spend an average of 8 days in the country. You just do the mathematics. An omelette, they will be willing to pay $10 for an omelette. You know, you just grow the economy instantly. I also say, when Honorable Chagulanyi, you had a very fantastic write-up in the manifesto about tourism. I was actually very impressed. I think my only concern is that it's not being sold well. I think we need to sell that dream. Yeah, it needs to be sold a little bit more. I also want to say that tourism, the reason why they say tourism is Uganda's lowest hanging fruit is because of the potential we have. The great weather, the mountains, the lakes, the rivers, the people, the culture. It's just so low. And then tourism this year earned the whole world about $10 trillion. But if you just remove the $10 trillion and put on the side and go just for sports tourism is one of the fastest growing sectors. And Ugandans are extremely very talented. It's just that a lot of them don't have the opportunity. This year, sports tourism earned $800 billion across the world. By 2032, it will be earning $2.2 trillion just by doing sports.
Amos Wekesa, in the words of the incumbent, therefore,
one of our biggest challenges as a country is that Uganda is not a brand. Every Ugandan must talk about this brand called Uganda. We're going to put the shelves out there. I would like to hear from the candidates what type of brand Uganda will be, because right now it's a brand which is partly majorly not known. If it's known, it's not known for the good things. What kind of positive brand can you guys put on the shelves in the world?
All right. Thank you so much, Amos Wekesa. We also do have Yvonne Mpambala that is on the floor this evening, and she too has reactions. Yvonne? Our online audience, please keep those questions coming. We're going to be turning to them a little bit later on Facebook, on X, as well as TikTok. We're also streaming live on our websites, NTV Uganda, as well as Daily Monitor. Yvonne?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm glad that NTV has put a very spirited fight for us to be able to be at this debate. It's very unfortunate that we have three candidates that have shied away or cowered away. That's what I would call it, because it's very key for majority of our presidential candidates to come here and put a spirited fight in terms of what they feel is the vision for Uganda. So I appreciate the candidates that have made that deliberate choice to be here, and Uganda does not take it for granted. So we see you. Thank you. It's becoming very, I would call it problematic from the kind of generations we come from, that, you know, the voter apathy in Uganda has gone high because Ugandans no longer believe in the systems, not even elections. They don't believe in elections anymore. I feel that is one of the biggest problems, because we are going to sit on these platforms and talk and give the visions. Alternatively, majority of you have very good visions for this country, but we don't want to lie that Ugandans might not be listening because they've given up. What is the vision to make Ugandans believe again? Past just the normal words we put out, past the manifestos. Sometimes we are too lazy to read these things. I don't want to lie to you. So we don't see the vision from those booklets. We don't see, what do we do to bring the hope back to Ugandans, that Uganda can transform and become a better country where all systems work, where we believe in the kind of leaders we're putting in place, where we are sure that we are all included. I'm seeing so many men seated in front of us. What makes you think that the voices of women are included in the discussions you're having? These are tough questions, because we feel as good leaders, if you're going to cover for majority of the population, what is your fight? Is this largely about competition just for presidential, or you have an actual voice for saying we want all Ugandans included?
All right, thank you so much, Yvonne. I believe the candidates, you've gotten her point. Priva, I do believe you also do have a reaction for us in the house. To our audience on KFM and Dembe FM will also be coming to you. Equally, those of you that are streaming live on YouTube will be with you shortly. Priva.
Miss Kasire Evelyn Kent, talk to us. What do you have to ask?
Thank you so much. My Evelyn Kent Kasire, candidate to Woman MP Kampala, under need flag bearer. My question goes to Nandala Mafavi. In considering the high living costs in Kampala, what plan would you have, it being a city, to help Kampala people have a better life? And the second question is, At what point in time did you make up your mind to use money in your pocket as your slogan, considering we had presidential candidate, need presidential candidate, Joseph Kavleta, who has been using the same slogan since the 2020 elections, and assuming he had been nominated, would the two of you still have carried the same slogan?
Thank you. There's another gentleman here. Please make your submission.
Thank you. My name is Agaba Mzora, and I'm from ANT Party. I'm also a candidate for Member of Parliament for Kampala Central, representing ANT. My question goes to Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, and it relates to the recent confrontations his camp has had with Uganda police and other related security agencies. It's quite unfortunate because previously, especially people from the security sector have been telling us that Ugandans were telling them that elections are boring because there are no violent confrontations between political camps and the security people. But they were not pointing at which Ugandans were saying that. To me, I took it to be that it was from their mouth. And so, as we have progressed, we have seen that boredom go away.
Your question being?
But also, the question is, Mr. Kyagulanyi, when you are in Kawempe, there is a video attributed to you telling your supporters that in Uganda, kati muri bayekera, mutambule mudeo wakanga bayekera, bwe mutuuka mukole ebikorwa ebyekiyekera.
All right.
Which means in English that you had told your supporters that you are rebels. As you go home, behave
Your
like rebels. When you reach home, act as rebels. Are those statements truly yours? And if true, what actually did you mean? Because we got different interpretations.
All right, thank you so much.
Of those statements.
You know, politicians speak a lot. So, gentlemen, this is my floor. I will have you continue that debate somewhere else. But your point has been duly received by the candidate that you're referring to. All right, Anwar Katamba, talk to me.
Oluzungu ennaku zino lwafuna ebigambo bingi. Njagala y'abooluganda balina ebigambo ebitonotono kubanga obudde butambudde. Waliwo enampisa erinnya njagala nnyo ebyokumpaana waana.
Let him first pick a candidate there, then we'll pick somebody else from
byonna bikole naye the man John Ken Ruchamuzi
neyanza nnyo NTV kino kyemukoze kiringa nga senieni kyeyakola mu America. Nze Kivumbi Ernest Benjamin njagala okubuuza ekibuuzo bakandidenti baffe just buli omu ayogere yes or no. Eggwanga lyaffe teribaddeewo na transition yonna eri peaceful emyaka gyonna. Singa omukumwe akwata obuyinza mugenda kusonyiwa President Museveni ne famire ye ku lw'obulungi bw'eggwanga oba mugenda kumusiba?
Kale toyanza nnyo toyanze kanfuneyo ekiri mu mbeera ey'abannamawulire.
All right, let's keep the questions short and sweet and straight to the point. Let's hear from you.
Amanya nze muwadanku nyingi. Ndi mbaka wa parliament ow'Ekyaddondo. Njagala okubuuza candidate Mugisha Muntu, Mabirizi, candidate Nandala, none yagambye okwogera mu Luganda. Candidate Bulira Frank. From the trend eri mu mawulire ne campaign nga zibadde zitambula, kiraga nti Uganda abangi bajumbidde nnyo campaign rallies eza presidential candidate Kyagulanyi Sentamu Robert. Submission zammwe namwe muwulikisenga abataagala Mwai Museveni. Kikyalimbudde okwegatta emabega wa candidate Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert. Musobola okwekomitinga kati mukirowoozaako nteekateeka zammwe ki bwe tuba nga twagala okweddiza obuyinza nga bannayuganda. Ndowooza njagala okuwulira tteeka yammwe ku kwegatta emabega wa candidate Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert alabise nga yasinze obuwagizi mu public ne
Honorable Muwadda. Annual Katamba lindako. Annual Katamba noonyeza omwami John Ken Lukyamzi. Then Privan noonyeza omwami gwe bayita Johnson Mayamba. Those will be the two questions we'll take on the floor. Then we will allow our candidates to respond to each one of them. Thereafter, we'll go to our online audience and also give them a chance to interact with their candidate. Presidential debate rests to 2026 elections.
Thank you very much. My name is John Ken Lukyamzi, the man. First of all, I would like to thank the NTV establishment for this wonderful organization of a debate of this magnitude. I'm making a comment from an intellectual viewpoint with reference to two presidential candidates, namely Owekitiibwa Mabirizi and Owekitiibwa Bulira. You have made a significant point with reference to your comments on federalism. One of the reasons why Uganda should go in for federal system of government is related to the gross mismanagement of Uganda today. Government is in shambles. If we don't pray very hard, even a military takeover could come in. So when we share, when the regions share powers.
Honorable ekibuuzo kye kiriwa?
Yeah, no, I'm making a comment.
No, oh, you're making a comment?
Yes.
Okay.
When the regions share security powers with the center, and well knowing that Article 1 of the Constitution says power belongs to the people by sharing that power on security will reduce the gross expenditure we are giving to President Museveni and his family. A lot of money we are paying all is directed to security. Will insecurity not end? Shall we keep on being...
Thank you so much, Honorable. That's a question,
So,
that is a comment for all of us to ponder.
The regions need that power because under the federal system of government, power checks power. Power from the region checks the State House, for example. But the district has no capacity to check State House on corruption. I hope you understand.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you so much.
Let's listen from Johnson.
Thank you so much. My name is Johnson Mayamba. I am a journalist. He said democracy dies in darkness. We have covered this presidential campaign. We are covering the trail. We are covering the debate. And on a daily, a journalist is hurt. In all your manifestos, we've not had ourselves in them. What are your plans for the fourth estate? Thank you.
All right. Many questions, 5 of you. I will start with Gregory Mugisha Muntu. Responses to the House.
To all the questions?
Yes, please, to the ones that were directed to you and you feel you owe them an answer.
Okay. Thank you. I think one which was specific was from Honorable Nkunyenji Muwadda, because he was asking whether we are ready to go behind Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. Well, we are always open to discussions as Alliance for National Transformation, but we've also had experiences in the politics of this country. It depends on the basis on which one would make the conclusions that the country has made a decision. Because I've been in a party called Forum for Democratic Change, and I know that in 2011, 2016, we generated crowds that I have not yet seen in this country. Unfortunately, we didn't take power, So I always know, and I've always spoken out, it's not something that I hide, that winning is one thing, taking power is another. You have to have two different strategies for both. So if we are to sit and agree on the strategies for both, rearrangements could be made. I have no problem with that. Thank you. I think Yvonne talked about the raising of hope. I think all Ugandans really want to see a better future, need to invest in the raising of hope. And there are many Ugandans, men and women, who have got spheres of influence through which they can raise that hope in the people who are around them. We can't stop speaking. We are in a dark period, there's no doubt about that. But in every dark cloud, as you say, there's always a silver lining. So every Ugandan who recognizes that anything that loses hope starts dying must participate in that. You can't just leave it on the candidates. We must keep on resustaining the hope within our people, because if there is absolute loss of hope, like I noticed when you go up country, then the future will really be very, very bleak. Do everything humanly possible to talk to people, to tell them that things always change. There is always a turning point. Even us, we will get that turning point, but we all must focus to a future that is better than what we're experiencing and work, invest into it. There's no way a better future is going to fall like rain, which unfortunately seems to be what most people hope or expect that is going to happen, that you leave it to just 8 people roving all over the country. No, 7, not 8. 7 is already, a different category. Is the one who want to throw out of power. So the 7 of us, you can't say we are the one, we can't be the only ones who raise hope. There are many more Ugandans who can discuss these issues on the dining table, in the taxis, in the borders, wherever they are, because hope is what sustains us as a people. The moment you lose hope, you start dying. Wekesa Amos, thank you for recognizing our understanding of what the potential for tourism is, because I can't even understand why anybody who seriously looks at growing an economy cannot look at tourism as one of the focal areas for investment. Uganda have not even tapped beyond 30% of the potential that we do have. If we had time, we would go into details in regard to that. And well, the colleague from NTV, it's unfortunate that you asked that question. You know how this regime manipulates information, manipulates people? So we stand with Honorable Chaguranyi in all the things he's doing. It's unfortunate that the security services are really focused on breaking the crowds which they do have, which they used to do to our candidate in FDC when we were there. They have a way of trying to do things in such a way that they cause clashes within the opposition forces. We will not allow that. Even when we are separate, even when we are running different campaigns, we will stand together against the tyranny of the regime.
All right, thank you so much. The rules of engagement still remain the same. Each candidate has 4 minutes to respond to all the questions from the floor. We'll go to the next candidate, Frank Bulira.
Thank you so much. I'll try to be very fast. First of all, I didn't say that I want to speak in Luganda. I just said I want to reduce the English. That is the #1 problem of this country. We want to liberate this country, not speaking a lot of English. It won't help us. First and foremost, Madam Yvonne, thank you so much. Voter apathy is majorly because of loss of hope. It is with the opposition, apparently, that has to give hope to the majority of Ugandans on the opposition. As we speak, the opposition is only looking at how many members of parliament shall we get in order to get more iPod money, not removing Mr. Museveni. That is why, as the RPP, we have not even positioned any single candidate for MP, because people are just looking at getting 50 million because they lost hope. They think and believe that Mr. Museveni cannot go. So they say, Nange kangabanireko wano, let me get a call of 300 million. With Mr. Museveni, God will decide.
That is the problem. We, the opposition, we are now the problem of the country. People are looking for iPod money. For us, we are not looking for iPod money. Dr. Chinji left a great foundation for our party. That is the reason as to why we are looking at removing Mr. Museveni and bringing back sanity in the Pearl of Africa. So, the opposition is majorly contributing on loss of hope and voter apathy. People have lost hope. But I know when I become president of the Republic of Uganda, all MPs from the different parties will join me. They will cross over. I could not waste a lot of efforts and money putting in funding presidential candidates, parliamentary candidates, because the major focus is removing Mr. Museveni and everything will go into the straight line by itself. Secondly, Honorable Mwadanku Nyingi, thank you so much. I respect you, comrade. You talked of coalition or getting behind Honorable Kyagulanyi. I appreciate Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi's role in bringing this struggle where it is. But what you should know, Honorable, is that this struggle started way back from the Kairas, the Dr. Semogerere. Dr. Semogerere in 1996 had the biggest crowd, which we have not seen. Haji Nassan Jege Sebagala had a crowd, a 1 million march. He didn't even smell at presidency. Retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye. Go and look at the footage of the rallies Dr. Semogerere had. Dr. Kiza Besigye had. Dr. Besigye has not delivered us to Canaan. It's unfortunate. The crowds are important, but it has to be a guided crowd with a focus, as General Muntu said. That is the reason as to why Dr. Agre Chiyingi was not staying in Uganda and was feared more than the people who are sleeping here in Wakiso, because Mr. Museveni knows he will contain them at the end of the day. They are not even focusing at presidency. We are looking at removing Mr. Museveni. In fact, I would be the person Honorable Kyagulanyi would rather behind. I don't want Ugandans to be disappointed again, and at the end, they tell you, I'm the solution to this country. Don't expect me to tell you, we have all the plans from A to Z. I inherited Dr. Agre Kiyingi politically. I have all the contacts and the networks. That is the reason as to why my campaign has started late. Many people have been asking why I have not been campaigning. It's not deliberate. My accounts were frozen. All our funders were intimidated. Mr. Museveni called Sheikh Maktoum, the king of Dubai, and told him, unless you are opening up UAE and Uganda, don't support this guy of Dr. Kiyingi, because he knows Dr. Kiyingi has investments in UAE. President Hakainde Hichilema of Zambia was intimidated. My container of T-shirts from China was confiscated.
Candidate Frank Bulira, the good news
they
is
should
that
all
you
come behind me. I'm the only person to redeem this country.
Thank you very much. And the good news is that you're seated next to the man himself, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. What saith you to the responses that have been presented on the floor this evening?
My response would be thank you very much, Mildred. I feel at loss because as a present victim of security, I did not get opportunity to be asked for a comment about security, and as a way of blocking and bridging, you would allow me just to wrap very quickly my comment on security. And it all goes back to state capture, because that is the problem. Every institution of state is captured, including the military. And unfortunately, it's the military that is being used to capture the rest of Ugandans. The question of the military was settled way back in 1995 when the current constitution was promulgated. And Article 208 of the current constitution is to the effect that the UPDF shall be non-partisan, the UPDF shall be national in character, and the UPDF shall be subordinate to civilian authority. Unfortunately, that law is nothing more than the paper on which it's written. Now, the UPDF is reduced to a tool of oppression. It has been said before that there are no bad soldiers, there are only bad commanders. and the statement is true with the UPDF, because now you will notice that the problem begins with the appointments. The appointments are done according to relationship, and sadly, according to DNA. You have seen police officers, military officers coming out to make political statements against the law, and nothing happens. You saw Brigadier called Okidi. You have seen General Museveni's son making political statements, and nothing has happened, and the list is endless. Our plan for the military, first and foremost, because they are desperate as well, they need to be paid right in order for the right thing to be demanded of them. And we've made it clear as a national unity platform that we shall ensure that our men and women in uniform, both in the UPDF and police, are well paid, and they will be demanded to respect the people of Uganda. There should be a strict code of conduct. Recruitment and promotion shall be done on merit. And also, it's very, very important for me, on behalf of the National Unity Platform, to commit that while I'm president, I will never, ever use the military or the police to play politics. Now, having made that comment, allow me very quickly to respond to the questions I heard from Mwakesa, and I appreciate your efforts and your contribution to the tourism industry. But we must understand that it all begins and ends with governance. Just go to Google and type in Uganda. Imagine you're outside Uganda and type in Uganda. You'll see what it brings to you. Will that be reason for you to tour Uganda? So it is not us to create an image or a brand of Uganda. The brand of Uganda is being messed by those that are in power, and it is upon us to remove them from power so that we can present a good brand. Uganda is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and our tourism potential is robust, but it is being messed by those that are in power, because what matters to them is not what the country gets. The main occupation of the state in Uganda is regime survival, not serving the country, not developing the country, not developing any sector. My brother from ANT mentioned that I said, yes, I said that. I've said it many times. I'm saying it right now. I'm a rebel, but I'm a legitimate rebel. You've seen the president of the Uganda Law Society calling himself a legal rebel. I'm a legitimate rebel. I'm just like the Museveni of the 1980s, only that we are non-violent. That's the difference. Okay, we are within the law, we are non-violent, but we are rebels, we operate like rebels.
Allow me to just stick to what you were talking about.
Yes, please.
There's a question here from Mr. Chigongo, and he's asking, what are your plans towards bolstering multilateralism as well as bilateral relations?
Present yourselves as Ugandans. Let us present Uganda on the same moral standard with our country, with other countries. We want to relate with Kenya. Kenya has a semblance of democracy. We want to relate with democracies, but we are bringing dictatorship to them. Let us level up. Let us have the moral standard. Let us be on the same moral standard with other countries, and we are going to be respected. Now we are not respected, we are only feared.
Okay, thank you very much.
And you did not allow me to...
I'll be returning to you shortly. Right, just you can hold that one. I'll be coming back to you. Candidate Nandala Mafabi, there were questions for you in the room. What saith thee?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, with tourism, my take on that, one, of course, security is important. Tourism cannot come here when it is insecure. Number two, we should invest more in infrastructure, the roads, network, and this tourism, of course. Me, I would even go further to talk about the rail line. We need to put back our rail line to deal with most of the things we talk about. Also, the press, we should have a positive press. Voter apathy, yes, it is there, but a thief cannot chase you from your chamber. You must make sure you work in the chamber until you arrest him or her. My proposal to voters, kindly read our manifestos, see which one is the best, and go vote, because one day we shall make it. Amin said that if the referee is biased, when you are playing football, make sure you score a goal where even the blind sees that it has entered, so that it cuts the net and everybody confirms. I think this coming election, if we all voted and voted NRM out, everybody would see, even if Yamakamauru have nothing to say. High cost of living in Kampala, everyone know high cost of living is everywhere. I think you, because you stay in Kampala, maybe people can even afford something, but people are going without anything for weeks. So I want to assure you that high cost of living is a result of cost of production. We have high taxes, we have high cost of production. Now we have talked about electricity, very expensive, and that's why electricity is one of the catalyzers to make production. Water, mention it, and in Uganda, the tax exemption are given to foreigners. So we are the one who bear the burden for foreigners instead of the Ugandans. Corruption is also another cost, because when the costs are, they have to, taxes have to be put there to tax you, so that's they're able to cater for the corruption of the 10 trillion. You said, I copied your manifesto, your motto, no. We said fixing the economy, money in our pockets. I don't know if yours is like that, but I'll also give you an example. Busoga College, where I went for, where I started from, it says, Kurakatonda negwanga lyaffe, for God and our country. And the motto of Uganda is for God and my country. Should we also say that Uganda copied from Busoga College? On issues of Museveni, you see, for us, we're in this campaign not looking for, we're not in for hate, we're not reaching anyone. What Museveni has done, has done. His 40 years are over. We need to move on. What he has failed to do is what we are saying, it is us to fix it. So we are bringing unity, we need to reconcile this country, we need truth-telling, and this country must move forward. Museveni is just one individual, the country is bigger than Museveni. So for me, I believe we need to have our country united, and should we forgive him, it will be truth-telling. Nkunyinji, you said we should join hands. Everybody knows how to mobilize. For you, you may be mobilizing using music. We don't have music. You may be mobilizing by carrying like Museveni. We don't carry. For us to go to villages. So there's no measuring tool that you are the best. I think we have to wait until the D-Day. That will be the determining factor.
All right, thank you so much.
Just a small one. The press, we are sorry the press being hurt. We feel bad about it. And of course, even this is where I want to make a comment, that I think the state should come out clearly. We need EC to come clear about this, because there should be fair play. We don't want any candidate to be, his or her supporters be hurt. We need each electoral commission should take charge of the election. But I also had the electoral commission chairman saying after voting, everybody should leave the polling station. I thought this gentleman was a judge. When I look at the rules, the Presidential and Parliamentary Elections Act, it's clear says that after voting, a person should stay 20 meters from the what? The polling station. Is that the same way by saying people should go home? That shows there's lack of people of understanding in this country, and these are the people who are going to be the referees. We want to pray to God that they learn the law and understand it. Why? What do you want to do at the polling station by chasing people? You must be wanting to steal. Let him come out clear to tell us.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Joseph Mabirizi.
Number one, I want to arrest the fears of voters where they have given up elections. We have got solutions. Have been working on this for 12 years.